up. All right. Maybe this? Now they can hear us.
Yeah. Or, on at least one platform.
All of the input settings are bored. The mics and stuff were not connected. They were all set to default.
Fantastic.
Okay, but we don't need background noise today, so good. Welcome to everybody who's here today. We are going to be going over some deck techs for our patrons. If you guys are interested in checking out our Patreon for these perks for yourself, you guys can use the link down below in the description. And for those of you guys who have submitted a deck list or want to check out the decks that we will be going over today, your links are down below as well on our special Commander Countdown Moxfield account. So these lists will be there forever. Anytime someone goes back and watches this VOD, they'll have access to all 9 of these wonderful decks. Quick special shout out to our patrons who submitted today's lists. That's TheTwilightSovereign, BigDaddyMagic, Cheezus, Knight of BAAWA, Mike, Boogey, Wraith Rider, Red, and a name that is not popping up. It's a real official business we've got going on here. Oh, it's here. How do you say this name, Veggie? Ososhawkin.
Ososhawkin?
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump straight in with deck list number 1. This is a Gimbal Gremlin Prodigy submitted by TheTwilightSovereign.
Yeah, so the most important thing to know about this deck is that it just recently had the GIF controversy. Apparently, according to the lore, this is Gimbal, not Gimbal.
Oh.
Which I think is wrong. But yes, somewhere in the lore, it specifies that his name is Gimbal. Okay, so next deck.
That's all we needed. Done.
Yeah.
Easy.
Okay, so we're trying to make as many different artifact tokens as possible, which then gets us a very large gremlin. So generally, we're just trying to then beat people over the head with very large trampling artifact creatures. This is very cute. This I think is my favorite include in this deck, because Tamiyo does 2 things nicely for this deck. One, the -X allows you to make token copies of artifacts that are in your graveyard.
Yeah, I can see them better now.
There we go. Yeah, Tamiyo. So that gives you an artifact copy of anything, any artifact that's gone to your graveyard. Or if you manage to -7, that is also a uniquely named artifact token. So both of those are contributing to Gimbal's ability. And it's cool because I like this Tamiyo.
And we're making, I see a lot of like little artifacts, right? Saheeli and Tezzeret both tend to make like little 1/1s.
Yeah, up here. Yeah, you get Thopters, and also Thopters.
So my question is what are we doing with those? We're just then copying our larger artifacts with copy ability, or?
I mean, generally just you want easy ways to make artifacts, because it doesn't necessarily care that they are big or chunky. It just cares that you have a bunch of different ones.
Okay.
So like there's ways to make Thopters here, but then we also have like let's see, Urza making constructs, Karn making constructs. The Oko here, you can -5 to copy all of your stuff, and those are token copies, so you're getting stuff out of that. Feldon's great because that's another way to make artifact copies, and if you're able to populate those, which I don't know if I saw in here, those are copies that stick around. Let's see. With just 4 sorceries, it means you probably don't have a lot of ways to deal with opponents' wide boards. The Shattering Spree is... I haven't seen a Shattering Spree in a while. I feel like that kind of got outclassed by Vandal Blast, but it can be more effective in like specific situations. You have the Chain Reaction as a board wipe.
I'm a little, light on commentary for this particular deck, just because this is far out of my building range. Now I do see that this deck has, as far as like the creatures and stuff go, it does seem to focus a little bit more on the like is it side of things. But here in instance, I'm seeing quite a few green cards.
Yeah, like Quandrix Command and Barrier Breach give you a way to deal with enchantments, which is not quite so good at.
A card that sticks out to me is the Court of Calling. What are we Court of Calling?
I don't know, but I don't know if there were like specific targets. There's actually not a lot of creatures in general, but since a lot of your things are making like a bunch of 1/1s, you at least have creatures to convoke.
Okay.
So I get that makes sense.
There is a lot of copying abilities as well.
Yeah.
Like Doppelgang, Double Spark.
Yeah. Now this is because there's a lot of copies here. The Doppelgang makes sense to me because when you make those copies, they are then tokens, which Gimbal/Gimbal cares about. But Spark Double is probably just here because good card, and you're getting another copy of Gimbal to get more of your big gremlins. But there's also a big like copy spells theme here. 2, 3, 4. This I believe, 5. And I don't know what we want to copy. Like, what are the spells that we want to copy?
Return the Favor. That's one of the new cards that can copy their spells, right? Mm-hmm. That is not just yours. So maybe like that's nice, but I agree. I think there has to be good reasons to have it in your own deck.
Yeah. Because I don't think I see anything here that's like real juicy to copy. Like maybe a big Court of Calling, but then your biggest creature is only 4. So that has me thrown a little bit.
And copying spells in general is like not awful, but it's usually not good unless there's a really good plan. Like two big scores, hard to say no to that, but it's not usually worth a whole card slot.
Right.
Unless you have a much higher upside.
Mm-hmm. But
let's ponder it. Let's get into the artifacts here. It looks like we have an okay amount of rocks and signets.
Oh, it looks like a very veggie approved number of rocks and signets.
Well, there's not that many, right? Because there's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sculpting Steel could copy 1, so 10.5. Collector's Vault makes treasures. We'll count that. That's another half.
Yeah, I wasn't including the vault or purse. I was literally just looking at like signets, arcane signet, and then stockpile just because of my first glance. But actually, I wasn't really counting these either.
Oh yeah.
Just because they're not ones that I commonly see.
Yeah, this seems real solid.
But the mana curve is so low. Not that this isn't still an appropriate amount. It's just interesting where we see so many big green decks that want huge stompers and they have like 4. And now we've got like 11 for a 5 CMC curve topper.
I support this because even if your spells are not necessarily high cost, you're always gonna you almost always have something you can spend it on. So like you've got mana to pay into Lithoform Engine.
Hammy tax.
What?
Hammy tax. Thank you so much, How Not to Draft, for the bits.
Oh. I was very confused. Yeah, there's other mana sinks here somewhere, I thought. Yeah, I guess Pia and Karen can just can go face. Sai can draw you cards.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice 2 artifacts. That's not unlimited. But hopefully you have little Thopters and things.
Yeah.
Now, the enchantments. That's my favorite part of any deck. I think if I had to choose a card type, enchantments would be my favorite. And I see Thopter Spy Network, which is one of my favorite includes anytime I build decks. Hee hee hee. I recently put that in a budget list that we have not featured on the show yet. Maybe we did.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
But yeah, you're making a lot of the tokens in here are Thopters, so you're probably getting a decent amount of card draw off of this. Extravagant replication, another way to make token copies of things that you don't normally have tokens of. This is a little tricky for me. I think I ended up cutting this from even like my Obeka deck because it's so much mana and then waiting to your upkeep. But if you can get there, you're probably in real good shape. It looks like everything else is, yeah, just get what you want and card advantage. I don't remember what the backside of this is. Oh, yeah, it's Tolarian Academy on the back, so that's pretty good. I've heard that card is pretty decent.
36 lands. This seems on par with what we would expect.
Yeah, I think this is great because it's 36, but 3 MDFCs, and we saw the like 10 plus rocks. I would feel very confident that I would get to do the things that I want to do and not be worried about mana.
I think it's too many.
I think it's great.
Too many rocks and lands. Not by a lot, but like our curve is pretty low.
Yeah, I will say this means that you could put in more mana sinks.
Yes.
Some things to spend that extra mana on. I always think that you should have that mana available to you, but now maybe subbing in some abilities that just let you like crank out artifact tokens. I think
47 rocks and lands is a little high for this deck.
I think it's great.
So I'm going to say cut 2 or 3 and add something else.
My
better spells to copy.
It supports. I think it's supported a little bit more though in this archetype because all of your rocks are artifacts, which are things that you can copy. And
so we have more rocks.
Yes. But I think what's the name of it? There's an artifact that you can. It's like a lot of mana, but it's not. It's unlimited. It's just like I want to say it's like 7 mana copy an artifact that you have. So that would be like a nice mana sink here.
We have like this. The total is pretty good. So I would cut 2 lands or rocks, and I would put in like Stonecoil Serpent and like the One Ring. I don't know, just like artifacts that are just classically good. Card draw. We don't have a ton of it. I want more of that in there.
Yeah. I feel like some of the spell copy could be subbed out unless there's something I'm missing, or maybe the theme is just like copy stuff, and then that works because you're copying all of your artifacts, you're copying all your spells that are happening, and then we have a handful of like card selection cards here, that I think I would be fine to just ditch in favor of things that draw me multiple cards.
Yeah, I don't usually build with impulse type things unless I have like a straight up Spellslinger deck where that's actively trying to just cycle through cards while also triggering Magecraft type abilities.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I think overall for me, this I'm very confident that it functions and does the thing that it wants to do. I want to say we're missing out on some different artifact tokens though, because we saw treasures, we saw Thopters, we saw some ways to make some weird ones, but I don't think we saw like some of the more classic ones. We didn't see clues, we didn't see maps, we didn't see food. All of which are pretty accessible in these colors. That might be an easy way to start cranking out those large gremlin tokens faster.
Yeah. Also, like there is the Brothers War soldiers. Those are
those are
artifacts. In fact, there's an artifact that makes a 1/1 artifact with a different name.
Yeah.
So that would be like a cool, flavorful ad. That card's not so super powerful. It is a draft card.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm good at naming.
Yeah.
But I think there are a ton of different options.
Yeah. Also from that set, like Power Stones. Yeah. So, I think my biggest, like my priority here would be, our mana seems solid, so I want some more ways to be able to spend it, and I would get some of those other different artifact tokens included in here.
Claymore is asking, what is the card that says when you make one, you make the other 3 or whatever? It's like an artifact. I've seen you use it on the show before. When you make one artifact, clue, or treasure, you make the others.
Yeah. Academy Manufactor.
Yes, thank you. Someone else in the chat also noted that. Would that be a good include here?
I think currently no, because the only thing we'd have that would trigger it would be treasures. But if we added a couple more like food and clue things, then absolutely.
Someone also notes junk is a new artifact as well, which would be potentially neat if we can find especially an artifact that would trigger it.
Yes.
So overall, I'm still a little shaky on... I get what the premise of the deck is, but like the spell copies seem kind of weak. The Court of Calling, doubling spark stuff seems a little weak. Clever imposter type things. It doesn't feel like it has a super like cohesive game plan. Or it looks like it does and we're missing it because it does seem pretty specific.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those are for. I mean, the game plan I think is pretty straightforward. It's just put this guy out, make copies of your stuff, and then he will make the creatures that kill your opponents. But I think the expansion of tokens and like a little bit more ways to spend your mana really helps to solidify this.
All right, so on the veggie scale, including flavor, power, veggie likability, what are you going to give this out of 10?
Twilight Sovereign says there was a primer.
A primer?
Yes, a document to do we have the original list?
Yes. There's a document associated. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Contradicts the commander rule text. Yes, trying to get big gremlins. Oh no! Instead of going for big gremlins, you're trying to get multiple small ones.
Which you kind of noted with the being able to copy the commander itself.
Yeah. Tokens and clones.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know that this was a feature. I was only looking when you guys submit deck lists. Some people were doing a write-up with the link, and I was putting that in our Google Doc.
Oh, and only artificers. That is very cute. I like that flavor.
Oh, okay. So I think we just came up with a huge boost in rating here because we don't necessarily care all about, like, personally, I guess I can't speak for Veggie, but it doesn't need to be optimal cards. I love it when the deck has these other themes that are not as obvious sometimes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So that also makes sense why there are less creatures overall because we're sticking to that theme. Definitely gets more points for me. I think this deck functions. It's very much my style of like, hey, this is a weird angle. I think as is, I would give this. I would give this a 7 out of 10. I saw some cards that I have not had to think about for a little while. It has a good number of lands and ramp, and it's a little funky with some flavor. As I've said, the two big things that I would adjust were a wider array of different types of artifact tokens and some better mana sinks, since we know that is very consistent.
All right, my what was your rating? What number?
7.
7. I'm going to be a bit lower because it does still feel a little disjointed to me. Also, I guess it's kind of a deck I'm a little bit more uncomfortable with seeing the master plan. I do like the set of Planeswalkers. They seem to be in there for good reasons for the most part. And there are a lot of cards I actively like. I like the copying stuff. I like the enchantments. There was quite a few of them in here, which is nice. So I would do a little less land and a little bit more flavor, but that's just me personally. I do like making little enchantment, little artifacts and things, and going wide is a good play style for me. So I'm going to say a 6.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for submitting this deck list, Twilight Sovereign. Again, you guys can find the link down below in the description. Next up, we have a list from BigDaddyMagic, who has submitted a Saskia deck. For those of you guys who are just coming in either to the Twitch or the YouTube stream, yes, these are our patron deck lists. We do these live streams monthly, and our patrons can submit one deck list for us to take a look at, and then you guys can always find these in the VODs. I think we had a little Google Doc for this. So if you, I know you already read them once, but I'll just pull it up so you can see your notes.
Yeah.
They'll be a little kind of far off the screen though.
Mm-hmm. And you all may remember that Saskia made an appearance on Decked Out on an earlier episode with Amy the Amazonian, and Saskia did some stuff.
She did some big stuff. Yeah, Saskia was pretty crazy, actually. Spoiler alert, killed a bunch of people on accident.
Yeah, it turns out if you roll a couple big numbers with an attacking Delina to copy your Saskia a couple of times, then people just get eliminated.
I attacked thinking Veggie would almost die. My goal was to get Veggie within checkmate range where he couldn't where he had to be scared, and then instead I just killed 2 players outright.
Yes, and then we went off and we did other stuff in the other room.
That was a fun one. Oops. Visual grid, because I like it better. Okay. All right, let's take a look.
Yes. So Saskia, typically, we just want to go to combat. We want to send creatures at whoever's open and choose one person that is very unhappy. But this seems like a really low creature count for a deck that wants to go to combat. We're seeing a lot of equipment synergy. A lot of things that want to equip, so we're I guess trying to suit up 1 or 2 big creatures, or maybe just Saskia herself. The Bloodletter Akhlazat seems brutal with Saskia out. That's so mean.
Saskia is mean. I will say, she was a ton of fun. Mm-hmm. I had a blast playing her, but absolutely was kind of mean.
Yeah, just the base of the ability. I have to pick one person that takes damage whenever anybody takes damage. That there's no avoiding being a little mean there. Yeah, that does, I wonder if we have other ways to make creatures, though, because it does seem awfully sparse. The only 2 sorceries in the deck, board wipes. So maybe you're also not getting hit quite as bad with your own board wipes.
I'm going back and forth between BigDaddyMagic's notes here. Mm-hmm.
This looks like a very nerd girl assortment of.
You don't know me. Yeah, this deck is more my speed, which is why I was the one that piloted on the show. Yeah, these are staples in the nerd girl arsenal for sure. Mm-hmm. In fact, we actually have me playing Colossus Hammer soon in an upcoming episode too, which will be super fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like good suite of single target removal.
Wait, what does this one do? Top right. What is that?
This.
I don't recognize that spell at all. Exile target non-land permanent. Its controller incubates X, where X is the mana value. Interesting. I have not seen that card.
Yeah, it's I guess another nice catch-all of like exile target non-land permanent.
And it's like better than a 1-for-1, right? Because you're also getting a 4/4 or better, which is cool.
Yeah.
That seems great.
Well, they get it, right? The controller incubates.
Oh, okay. Well, it's less great than I thought. I thought this card was nuts. I was like, how have I not played this card?
It's generous gift. It's beast within. But
yes.
In exchange for getting to exile it, you give them
a bigger, potentially a bigger
better
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I misread that because I thought it was a rare. So like that makes sense that it would be. But I thought it was too busted. I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah, right? How have we never seen this before?
I'm going to go on TOA and order this like right now.
Yeah.
4 of them, please.
All right, we are certainly equipmenting.
Hell yeah, let's go. This is more my speed. I like all the swords. I like Warhammer. Great Henge is awesome. I love including that in all of my stuff.
Yeah.
Shadow Spear.
Although the Great Henge is a little conflicted here because you've only got 13 or 14 creatures. So you're not getting a ton of the card draw out of it.
Is it non-token creature?
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't seen any ways to make token creatures, but we just don't have a lot of creatures to trigger that. Granted, with all of this equipment, it means that we probably get to play it very cheap. But
yes. And then we have like living weapon and stuff, but again, it says non-token creature. And 14 creatures, I agree, not enough for a Great Henge. Mm-hmm. So what is the other purpose for it? I just saw it and was very happy. You had to go and rain on my parade.
I mean, it's a great card. It's a great henge. But it's that would be the thing that I'd look for an alternative. Sunforger, I do like a Sunforger, but what do we have that we can Sunforge? Not too much, right? Yeah, I mean, like, hey, anything that can fetch you a Teferi's Protection at will, still probably pretty good, but that's not a lot of options for a card that is usually a build around. Does look like we have a solid assortment of ramp and fixing here. Very necessary for 4 colors. The Conduit of Worlds seems like maybe a little out of place here. I don't know if there's I haven't seen any graveyard land synergy, but sometimes just being able to play stuff out of your graveyard is good enough. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, BigDaddyMagic says every instant except for Hunter's Insight. And yeah, that's true. It's just Veggie's point was, are any of these specific enough to make that worth the slot?
Yeah. Because, like, all of these I'd be happy to play off of Sunforger. But,
What would be a typical thing you would expect to see in a Sunforger list?
I mean, being able to fetch, like, a board wipe is nice. I'm trying to think what what I would have in mind there, but like the spells you cast off of this are good, but they really only fall into 2 categories: single target removal or save your stuff. So being able to have some other options in there, like imagine having like a Settle the Wreckage in this to be able to surprise or just threaten, like, hey, if a Sunforger, don't attack me, or I will fetch Settle the Wreckage.
I mean, you can still say that.
You can still say that.
Threat of activation is not a 0.
Not a 0, yeah. I agree.
Just the idea of being able to bluff literal any card in Magic, basically, is pretty neat.
Yeah. I run enough Sunforger decks myself to be able to say what the best targets are, but that's my main thought is like, oh, if it's a tutor for whatever I want to have a lot of, like, I want to have a big toolbox.
Enchantments. Dark Steel Mutation is a mean card.
Everybody likes little bugs. Now your commander's a little bug.
I don't like it when my commander's a little bug.
I think this is pretty standard though.
Both lists had Sylvan Library in it.
Yeah, people like drawing cards.
People do, but that card is still pretty pricey, right? Okay, that's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah. And sometimes you just get lucky. I got lucky. I pulled one out of a Dominaria booster and I was like, all right, well, guess I'm a Sylvan Library player now.
Guardian Project's cool. 38 lands. That's quite veggie-y.
Yeah, that's solid. 38 lands plus we had how many Soul Ring, Signet, Lantern, Talisman, Felwar Stone.
Lantern.
And I count Inspiring Statuary as like a half. So yeah, set 7.5 and that's pretty good.
Too many.
That's pretty good. And you have a 4-mana commander that is 4 colors. So like, I want to be able to slam that on turn 3 or turn 4. However, I would be okay switching out some of these lands for flippies.
Okay, modals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially considering that you just got a million new ones in Modern Horizons 3.
Yeah.
Those are so, by the way, just straight up everybody play all of them. Every single one that you can jam into your decks, put them in there because they're all really good.
They're free.
They're free.
10 out of 10s because they are straight free. I'm a big modal fan for limited. My set reviews, I was just like all about them.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the greatest additions to Magic, a new archetype type thing that they have made in the last few years. I'm very pro modal cards. And it looks like we've got a good selection, too. We have the Triomes. We have the Fetches. Yeah, great Fetches. Rogue's Passage with an equipment deck, always pretty cool. I like what we've got going on here. Plaza of Heroes seems pretty good in this, considering you want to get into the red zone with this.
Yeah. I was thinking for a moment, like, maybe Tyrite Sanctum as well, but that is a little rough to put any additional colorless only lands in this deck that wants to cast a 4-color commander.
Yeah.
But you're playing a bunch of like artifacts as well. I would consider it.
All right, this deck is much more my speed. I would be very happy to shuffle this up. Mm-hmm. I think you pointed out a couple of things. Some of the things like the Conduit World does seem out of place. And I don't like the creature count. I want there to be some more creatures.
Yeah. Or I guess alternately, if you're gonna have a low creature count for this, make them the most difficult to remove creatures you can find, because you're so dependent on having something that you can send in.
Now I did notice that there's one living weapon here. Veggie's really struggling today. Please don't get me sick.
I think I'm just dehydrated.
I see. Yeah, one living weapon. Is there any of the other ones like the 4 Mirrodin-y guys? I don't think so.
Mm-mm.
But I thought just worth checking because that definitely comes in as a creature. Mm-hmm. All right, Veggie scale 1 to 10. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I did actually personally run this deck for a while, but it was not the equipment version. I would. I would give this a 6 out of 10 for Veggie. Equipment is not normally my thing. I would be worried about the low creature count, but Saskia is just a fun, like, a fun aggro strategy in herself. So I'm happy to do something like that. I think I would want a couple more creatures, especially ones that I'm happy to send into the red zone. I actually think I would swap these board wipes out for some that are a little more specific, because I want to say, because both Damnation and Dam are just destroy everything. You only have like one creature here that's that costs more than 3, so like even just like Austere Command, you could go, great, everything that costs more than 3 touches none of my stuff, except Saskia. But I think there are other board wipes that are more to your advantage here. The land count and ramp makes me very happy. Good job, everybody. You're doing it. I'm so proud of you all.
Too much. Just a little too much.
And then maybe just a couple cards here and there that seem like out of theme, or like there's a better one that fits this more directly. So
what was the number? I don't think you gave us one.
I did at the beginning.
Oh, okay. I got lost because you just reiterated everything. Mm-hmm. So what was the number?
It was a 6.
It was a 6. Okay, I actually do remember that. I like this deck at a 7. I agree. I think that having more equipment than creatures seems out of place. I'm actually very pro equipment. I like those kinds of decks. Mm-hmm. I like getting into the red zone, but I would like to see some more creatures. Even if those creatures were not necessarily on their own heavy hitters, I think that if you had like Mother of Runes or Giver of Runes that would help you get in, mm-hmm. would also just be enough, because you could just suit them up with a sword and get in on specific opponents when necessary.
Yeah.
But then if you don't have a good way to get in for Saskia, then they can sort of help enable that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just a couple more bodies, even if they were not like Champion of Lambholt quality for your deck, just something that helps you have a little bit more reasonable things. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get water. I'll be right back.
There is one right here.
Oh, perfect. I got it.
I'm a professional streamer. I has them. Is there a channel on the Discord for submissions? Red, this is for our patrons.
Red is, I think, answering.
Oh, there is. I see. Yes, you do send a Moxfield link for our Patreon if you are a patron. Sorry, yeah, if this is a patron deck tech for those of you guys who are just joining us on YouTube and Twitch. You guys can submit each month. Our patrons with the specific tier can submit these deck lists, and we'll be doing these live streams every month. Mm-hmm. And if you guys have any questions about it, you guys can always pop into the Discord. There's a link in the description. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to give it a 7. Again, I'd like to see it a little bit more tuned to getting creatures on the board and getting them in. I think swords is a great way to do that and enable it, because you can sort of pick and choose the colors, but that doesn't work if you don't have creatures. So, yeah, just cut 2 lands, 3 lands, add creature. And that would bump it up for me like 2 points for sure. Special thank you again to BigDaddyMagic for submitting one of today's deck lists. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah. Saskia was like my original, like, hey, maybe I should like play anything that doesn't run blue. That was I think like the first deck I ever made. I was like, let me try one deck that doesn't have blue in it.
So next up we have a deck list submitted by Cheezus, one of our longtime patrons. We're gonna look at Norin the Wary. Yeah.
What a classic. This is classic weird little guy that you underestimate, and then you're like, how did I just lose to this?
Do you want to read it?
The card?
Yeah.
Norin the Wary, because I'm sure this has fallen. People have not seen this for a long time. It's 1 mana for 2/1. Oh wow, that's pretty solid, right? Except whenever a player does anything, so whenever a player plays a spell or a creature attacks, Norin gets removed from the game and then returns at the end of turn.
All right, so we have specific notes from Cheezus. says, I want you guys to tear this deck apart. I'm looking for suggestions and includes. I feel like I'm missing some pieces. Nothing in the deck is an auto include, so please, give me everything you've got. Don't hold back here. No holds barred. Let us know what we would change or want.
Yeah.
This is a mono red deck, so I'm wrong one. I'm more in my element.
Grid.
I can do it. I swear. Dress to Kill. It's a fun planeswalker.
Yeah. I think it's very funny because we're gonna see you go from like, oh, it's mono red, like this makes sense to me, to like, oh, this is a weird deck. Or like that's my hope, because this is typically a very strange deck.
Okay.
But
so what is the general, like, how are we using the ability here?
That's the $1 million question. You try to find like things that care about ETBs or
okay.
Yeah, things leaving and entering.
So the first thing I notice is like Witty Roasters. That's a card I build for like spell slingers and stuff. So each time you play something, you're also getting the trigger and then flickering your other thing, getting another trigger. That's
exactly
cool. Perforos.
Yep.
For those pesky cats that will not meow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, okay, so there are your damage dealers, Terror, Roastmaster, and Perforos.
This isn't weird. This is fine. This is cool.
It's weird and cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also does look like we're going pretty hard here. Like, we have Magus of the Moon. We have, like, Ragavan and Dockside. So this is high power little weirdo.
High power little weirdo.
Okay. Man, what's up with y'all and your shattering sprees? I've not had to think about this card for a while, and now I've seen 2 of them in 3 decks today.
We've got some wheels. Interesting.
Well, yeah, here it's mono red. You know what to do. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'll be just like a second.
Veggie has abandoned us. Cha. Sorry, just straightening this up so I can see the notes. I like this. I'm trying to think of other things that I would want to see. There are some enchantments, right? Like Impact Tremors. Great. That's the one I was like mainly looking for. When a creature ETBs, you're going to deal a damage to each opponent. Love it. Escape. Fables. Cool. Outpost Siege. Okay. All right. I kind of skipped Instance because I just wanted to see if it had Impact Tremors.
Okay.
Are you struggling?
There's a little like Velcro-y thing on the ground and it's stuck to my sock.
My stream setup's very annoying. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, it looks like our sorcerers are mostly like card advantage or card selection. We have a Twin Flame in here. We'll have to see if we can combo with that. Do we have dual caster? Yeah, we do. Okay, so there's a win con. Because you can cast Twin Flame and then dual caster, copy it. Twin Flame then copies your dual caster, and you go infinite and make 1 million hasty dual caster mages.
I did also see that there is in enchantments. There's a
okay.
Yeah. That Fable of the Mirror Breaker. That sounds like what you were talking about.
Yes.
Where you can kind of make a lot of things.
Yeah. Just like a generally great card. And another, also Blood Moon and Underworld Breach. Yeah, like this. Okay, so
we also have like the One Ring in here.
Yeah.
Like there's some powerful stuff up there too. Not what Smuggler's Copter, Schmuggler's Copter, whatever the German one was that was on the show. Wow, there's some heat in here. Skull clamp. What are we skull clamping? Did I miss it? We making some little gobos?
I don't know. I guess you could skull clamp Norin, but like that doesn't then that doesn't synergize.
Genesis Chamber, says Cheezus.
Oh, there's Genesis Chamber. Okay, great.
Just one card though? We have a skull clamp in here for just one card? Not that I don't love skull clamp. I just feel like, what if you draw a skull clamp and never find the Genesis Chamber? You should have a dead card.
I guess it depends because I saw Gimbal. Are there other tutors? Because those two together is a very good combo. But yeah, this is Reckless Impulse, not the other tutor. Yeah, that is a little tricky because it looks like that's the only thing that you can skull clamp. And while it is a very good interaction,
I never like the enabler pieces to have one. Like, I'm fine with the Genesis Chamber being a one of that needs another piece, but I don't like the piece that it needs to only deal with one thing. That didn't come out super well, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like, you could even... I'd feel even better if you put, like, Urza's Saga in here, because then that can fetch Skull Clamp. So that gives you a little bit more way to put that together.
Well, I'm okay with not fetching Skull Clamp, because the Chamber by itself is doing what Chamber wants to do.
Yeah.
So if you don't find the Skull Clamp, I'm more okay with that. I'm just saying if you find the Skull Clamp and not the Chamber, then you're sad. Someone's pointing out Perforos also makes dudes. So maybe you have two.
Perforos makes dudes?
I don't know if it's the right Perforos.
Yeah, not this one.
Yeah, that's the one that just shoots people, right?
Yeah. Okay.
The Skull Clamp would work on the commander, however, I don't know that I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to, because the...
At that point, I would just put an impulse card, like an impulse draw spell, right?
I don't want to pay any more than 1 mana for this thing.
And like the idea that you would maybe be willing to do it once is not outrageous, but at that point, you just put like a big score in instead of... Someone's suggesting a young pyromancer. That's not in here, right?
Not in the list.
But that's a good option as well. So then that would give us like 2 or 3 for the Skull Clamp, and I'd be on board.
Yeah. Oh wait, this also makes a 1/1 every turn.
I hate it less now. We found a few options. I still think young pyromancer needs to be in here though.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my struggle.
Which one, Veggie? You have so many.
I have a lot. So the cards in the deck say high power. We have some heat. The commander says goofy little guy. So I don't know.
But that's basically the same thing every time you shuffle up any deck. You're a goofy little guy, and you play high power sometimes. It's fine.
When do I play high power?
Every time you play CEDH. You like CEDH.
That is different. That is different. I think there's a difference there, because I don't do any goofy little guy CEDH. To me, CEDH is like, okay, everybody's going as hard as possible, so there's no little goofy little guys.
All right, well, I'll tell you this then. You're doing high power on July 1st, because that's when our high power episode comes out.
Yes.
So.
My immediate instinct is this needs to go one of two directions. Either it leans into goofy little guy, we don't worry about the high power stuff, and we just get all the little cute interactions that we can with this card. The deck will not be good, but it will be fun. For instance, the like quintessential Norin the Wary old school commander card is Confusion in the Ranks, which is a 5-mana enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battle, it's like creature or artifact or permanent or something. But at the very least, whenever a creature enters the battlefield, choose a creature at random of all the creatures that are out and swap them. So like, it's not good, but it is very funny with Norin the Wary, because you
next time you happen, it blinks it.
Right, and it comes back to comes back into play under your control, then triggering the Confusion in the Ranks again, swapping it, and then so you continue to just steal everybody's stuff.
That is cute. I think that would be a great include, but I also don't necessarily agree with the deck needs to be cute and quirky all the way around. I feel like having a cute and quirky commander that still functions well, it has its own value and place. Because, like, I want to see something unique at my, like, serious commander tables, too, even if it's not CEDH. And I like that. So this is going to get points for me.
I think it can still be powerful, but I don't know if it leans enough into doing Norin stuff. This just looks like, oh, good red deck.
That also triggers it. I mean, I think Terror, Witty Roasters, Perforos, I'm happy-ish. I do think I would like to lean a little harder into the ETB triggers.
Yeah.
But what is this card? Do you know what this is?
That is Thrill of Possibility, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, also for all of you people out there, you don't have to play this card anymore. You do not have to play this card at all anymore, because there's a strictly better version called Demand Answers that was printed in Murders at Karlov Manor. And it's just this card, but you can also sacrifice an artifact, I think. It's just like additional cost, discard a card, or sacrifice an artifact.
Some people in chat are recommending Devilish Valet, which would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so if we were going the high power route, what would I say here? Because I don't know how this deck wins.
That's what you say about every deck I build, and I still manage to win, Veggie.
Well, but I'm only judging the deck here, not the pilot. That's different. It's like you can skill diff me, but if we're just looking at decks, I can still say that this deck is not good. Because I see, like, if we're playing at a high power table, like Dualcaster and Twin Flame, that is an instant win 2-card combo. Great, that makes sense to me. But I don't know if we're triggering Norin enough for like a witty roast master to get us there.
I think with Terror of the Peaks, Torburin, and O'Hare Ashneal, I feel like you are, and Dockside, Ragavan, those are some heavy hitters. We have card advantage stuff. We have Blood Moon. I feel like there's a ton of things in here.
Also, to be clear, I could be nicer about this deck, but the request was to tear it apart, and I can also do that.
Yeah, that's fair. You should be harder on it, I suppose. I mean, I think you can point to any group of cards and say, like, oh, this could theoretically win a game, which is usually what you then do to me in a real game, where I'm like, okay, these cards are, like, sure, generically good, but you have to work really hard to get them to win, and then you do that. But I think that's the same issue here. It's like, oh, yes, well, if I had Norin and a bunch of turn rotations and, Perforos and, Torbran out, then after like 5 rotations, then everybody is at low life. Yeah. That's how I win. 30 lands. Woo!
30 lands, I don't hate here. You have a 1-mana commander. You have some cheap ramp.
Do we have enough things triggering the Panharmonicon? That's a big question, because this is not a cheap card. I guess it is cheap now, never mind. But it is a large commitment. 4 mana, do nothing, at $5. That is a question I would like to pose. Is there enough? Because typically when you see Panharmonicon, it is stapled to an ability the commander does. And,
right.
It's sort of built around it.
Right.
This is the first time I've really seen it in a deck as kind of a throwaway card. And there might be enough things in here triggering it. I just don't see it. Boogey, this is the one that's a trumpet on this side? Yeah.
Yeah.
Card draw, I like that.
What? So we're doubling ETBs. Even across the board, it's Dockside, Dualcaster Mage, Imperial Recruiter.
Sorry. I just wanted to read this one more time. If it enters the battlefield, causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control. So it's not just the ETB, it also is copying these abilities, right?
Yeah, I get that's
Yeah.
an ETB to me.
Okay,
But,
yeah.
yeah. Because we were up to Imperial Recruiter and then Pyromancer, Roastmaster, Perforos, Terror. So that's I think that's already like that is a way that helps you to deal the damage fast enough, I guess.
How high did you get to?
7 just in creatures.
Okay. All right, maybe that is enough.
7 in creatures. You're also, because it also cares about artifacts, doubles your Genesis Chamber. You get double the 1 ring trigger. You're double protection from everything. But yeah, I mean, it's a very fun style of deck. I did not realize that the one of Planar Chaos, just raw, no Krark's Thumb or anything. That's what the direction I want to go with this. It is very chaotic, like these dopey little chaotic cards. Okay.
I would not mind a like Experimental Frenzy. I know we have a couple of like draw abilities, but I feel like this deck really is going to reward you for casting more spells.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind just having a backup outlet to just rip a bunch of stuff off the top, draw for a few turns for free, and then blow it up, have a fresh hand.
Yeah, I like that, especially with the low land count. Like you could that's going to get you some good value. Okay.
But we do have Windfall, Big Score, whatever that cat thing was again, Thrill of Possibility. So we've got a couple. Also, Cathartic Pyre draws you cards in a pinch. Is that the one?
Discard it. Well, you don't go up cards, but you can find new cards, yeah. Okay.
All right, Veggie. On a scale of 1 to 10. On the Veggie scale.
I mean, this automatically gets pretty high marks from me. Norin the Wary is very silly. And I have not seen a Norin the Wary deck for years. So thank you for letting me think about this little guy. I'm gonna say in spite of how much I tore it apart, I would still give this like an 8 out of 10. It's a very fun and silly commander that people don't see very often anymore, at least. There are some very fun includes here, and I respect the attempt to make it high power. I think this is reasonably a high power deck. But like to try and take the Norin the Wary strategy itself into high power, that does feel very me.
So I am similar. I'm going to give this a 9. I think anytime you do like Torbrun, Witty Roaster type things, you are going to just insta get like a 7 as like the lowest I think that can go. And I think I am in love with commanders that are doing something sort of funky. That was why the first commander deck I wanted to build was Yannette, because it was just like, this is like a weird thing I'm not really seeing. And I know it's like common from the before my commander times.
Somewhat.
But it wins in a unique and silly way, where you're sort of gambling and you're manipulating the top of your deck and you're needing to do all of these hoops to do something a little quirky. And that's exactly what this card is doing. So yeah, for me, this is a 9. I would love to see a little bit more of the fun and funky, but I don't mind the high power includes that are in here. I would maybe just remove a couple of the things that are a little less specific. So like Skull Clamp, yes, it has things, but maybe it's not the best. What did we figure out what Smuggler's Copter was for?
Card that is good.
Card that is good. I would like card that is quirky better than card that is fine, if that makes sense. But like, you know, if you want to keep the 1 ring and all that stuff in there, I'm fine for it. Yeah, an 8 and a 9. Great job, Cheezus. Let us know if you end up making any changes to this deck list. Please post them in our Discord. We would love to see them. Next up, we do have Knight of BAAWA, yeah, cool. I wasn't sure if that was the next one. And Knight of BAAWA has submitted an Atraxa list for us to take a look at today. Veggie, I'm going to let you get started. I am going to take a quick restroom break.
Sure. We faced this deck. This is...
Was it this?
The big bad, huh?
This particular list?
Pretty sure. I mean, I don't know if there have been changes since, but...
Knight of BAAWA made a patron list?
No. In person, we have played.
Oh, yes. Okay. I was like, was this? I thought because we recently played Atraxa with Mia, so I thought that's what we were talking about, and I got very confused. Forgive me.
Wow, spoilers. Yeah, this is the classic. This is the classic big bad, Atraxa infect. Let me adjust this a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we see that's a good number of creatures. It's pretty much everything that you can get that has infect, or we may be missing like some of the toxic ones, but infect is just better in this case. So we're probably trying to just get in on the ground early, considering there are a good number of you've 1 and 2 drops here. Yeah, I don't think there are any creatures here that don't have infect. Yeah. Yeah, Rot Priest is our only toxic one. Sorceries. Yeah, some ways to just get through. And proliferate. This is a pretty Farseek. I wonder where that's from. And then this is maybe a little pricey, but I guess if you want to just proliferate 4 times, there's a bunch. No, you know what? The more that I think about it, that probably just outright wins you a bunch of games. So I'm willing to spend 7 mana to win.
Okay, sorry about that. I had to make sure Hammy got walked.
Mm-hmm.
He did. He has pooped.
Good. Yeah, it's Atraxa Infect.
Oh, that is the deck we play. Spoiler. Oh. I think that might be Hammy outside. Keep going.
Okay.
Infect in Commander is mean. 6 out of 10. I don't know.
It's... Okay. Yeah, okay, so now we're getting into doubling up on our mean, because just a kind of a surprise, since you have to do this before the combat damage step, but you can still do it in combat. But surprise, my 5/5 just kills you straight up on infect damage. I like the choice of these small creature protection spells that also help you to get in. I really love Slip Out the Back, but I almost feel like this should be another version of this effect, because Slip Out the Back means that if you're swinging at somebody and they try and remove your creature, Slip Out the Back will protect it, but you don't get to still hit them. With Snakeskin Veil or Blossoming Defense, you are still going to hit that player and get the poison counters, and you get a little extra bonus. So Slip Out the Back could be there's a million of 1 mana Indestructible or Hexproof or something, and a little pump. Yeah, you get a nice little bonus from this deck. I don't think these cards were out when we originally played Knight of BAAWA. But the extra proliferate attached to some spells, imagine a big old Radstorm just taking you from 2 poison to 10 in one go. And Radstorm is an instant, so it could be somebody else's fault. It could be the Spellslinger's fault, across the table. That's just all right, yeah, I'm gonna play a bunch of little spells, and then this deck just goes, great, Radstorm, win.
Veggie got very mad at the neighbor dogs.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Hammy got very mad at the neighbor dogs.
By the way, everybody, I got a text recently that was... I got a text recently that was like, hey, did you make sure to let Veggie out? And I was like...
Did I really?
Yeah.
Well, you might have had to poop, okay? I wanted to make sure. I'm turning into my grandma. She used to do that. Mix up people's names and stuff all the time. We gotta make sure Veggie gets his walks in.
Where was I? Yes. Oh, this is super cute. I love this. This, I think, is my favorite weird little card in the deck. If you control a forest, then this spell is free. You have an opponent gain 3 life, but who cares? Because you're not killing them with damage. You're killing them with poison. So that is a free 4 additional poison at instant speed.
And nobody's gonna play around it either.
Right.
Yeah. I think poison is mean. It's fine. As long as there's not... I'm scarred. The first time I really saw poison in a commander game was when there was 2 poison decks.
Yeah.
And so, I officially was like, no.
Yeah, that's very different. But
just 1, I think, is very fine. I just am a little emotionally traumatized. Because I was just like, oh, no. Please.
Poison's weird for me because I think it is actually actively bad. I think it's a bad strategy. Not like, oh, you're bad if you play this. I think it's a difficult strategy. People overestimate it. They're like, oh, this is the infect player. We have to kill them first, or they'll win in 1 turn. It's like that's not possible. Yes, it's hard to interact with it, but I think it gets hated really hard. And it is hard to get 10 poison on each of your opponents when you're the only one doing it.
Yes. I like poison in limited and in constructed. I've always liked poison decks. I thought they were very cool. But I just got scared.
You got messed up in that game.
I was like, oh no.
Okay. Artifacts, this is
low for you.
Low for me, especially in a deck with a 4-color commander.
But colorless rocks don't really help.
They don't. I agree.
So you do have both your talismans.
Give me like a Felwar Stone. Give me I don't know.
I'm not usually a chromatic lantern person, but I think with a 4-color commander I am.
Yeah.
I'm not usually playing 4-color domain commanders.
Right. And I like it here because I don't think we've seen too many like super high power cards. Like this is decidedly like a like casual, like this is like a 6 or 7
Nerd
power
girl
scale
level.
kind of thing where we're not doing things that are crazy powerful. So once we'll see the land base is actually pretty solid.
That's a lot.
I think this is the power level where I'm very happy to play Chromatic Lantern. Yeah. Okay, so we have like I that might be all of the playable fetches and shocks.
Ink Moth Nexus, of course.
Oh yeah.
That has to be in there.
Wow, you could read this one and you couldn't read the Thrill of Possibility?
Well, that one is competitive. I've been margin trading those for years.
Okay, yeah. This is, it's very straightforward.
Also has the same art. I probably would have noticed the thrill if it had the same art, but was in a different language.
I don't know. This is not in my time, so I do not know this card at all.
You're a magic baby.
No, I was born again. I'm a born again Magic player. This was right in that period where I was not playing. Okay, yeah, mana base makes mana, and you have like very few utility cards, but I think that's a good choice here since you have 4-color commander.
Yeah.
Great.
Overall, what do you think as far as, assuming they meant it to be in the power level in which it sits, how happy are you with this deck?
I think I'm pretty satisfied with it. I do think I would want more mana rocks in it. Because I like the idea of like consistently being able to play a rock or ramp on turn 2 so that I can play Atraxa on turn 3. There are some like 2-drops here, like 1 and 2 drops here that might take that spot so that you're able to get in for those early poison counters. So I could see that being a reason to not play as many. Yeah. I think it's...
Did you already say your rating?
I have not said my rating.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty happy with it. This is a reasonable, like, fun infect deck. If this is the thing that does it for you. I would give this a 7 out of 10. I don't like infect. I don't like playing infect as a strategy. But if I were to do it, I think this would be the way that I would go. I wouldn't want it to be like optimized super high power. And then I think once you get to like real weird jank, this kind of either just cannot ever get there or is too strong. So this is the way I would do it.
I like poison as long as you specify ahead of time and make sure there's no other poison decks in the pod. Sorry for Hammy, he's angered. I think poison is fun. I like Atraxa well enough. I think that this is not overly too high power and like oppressive, so I'm into that. I will also say a 7.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Knight of BAAWA, for submitting this deck list. If you guys want to see something like similar, but maybe a little higher power level on 7-1, this deck, similar deck, the same commander, will be piloted by Mia Largo from the Nitpicking Nerds. So you guys will be able to see this coming up.
Oh, it's me. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Oh.
We have a delivery. Thank you, Airball Assistant.
You got it. Hey, at least you aren't the pet.
What the hell have you guys been doing?
I sent Veggie a message asking if he took Veggie out. So I was making sure that Veggie had his walks for the day.
You were supposed to know.
Both came back into the room, was like, oh yeah, Veggie was outside or something, and was like, oh yeah, he was.
I said Veggie got really mad at the other dogs.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Wait, okay, I do have to do this one thing because I don't know how many things we recommended for this. But you get a bunch of really good stuff out of Modern Horizons 3 for this deck. In particular, you get Metastatic Evangel, the 2-drop that proliferates whenever you have a non-token ETB. So like that's a massive include for this.
Isn't there?
And Skrelv, that was my other one. I would love to see a Skrelv here because usually Atraxa is a kill on sight. So like having that free or 2 life pay protection. Yes.
I'm sure it's not good enough in a high powered version. But isn't there like a 2 or 4 drop that you can pay mana to give something toxic? And then that would probably stack. It was a draftable card.
Equipment?
No, I think it was a creature.
Oh, yeah. 4-drop, I think.
Yeah, and I think you could pay to give things toxic. So if something has infect and toxic, would that...
I want to say that it was a little bit more specific, that it was like, give a toxic creature extra toxic.
Okay, maybe.
That might be why it's not here.
All right. Okay, so double 7s, and that was, again, submitted by Knight of BAAWA, and you guys can check out a similar list on the 1st of July when we have a high power deck game. Next up, we have a deck list submitted by Mike. And this is... Oh, the commander's not set. I must have messed it up. Grid. I don't know why I have trouble seeing that every single time. This is the commander. Set as commander. Whee! Okay. Sorry about that. This is submitted from Mike. You read the card. I'll read the notes.
Okay. Yeah. 4 mana, 4/4. It's cats and dogs. When you cast a dog, you make a 1/1 cat. When you cast a cat, you make a 1/1 dog. And then you can pay 3 and tap it to deal damage to any target equal to the number of dogs you control. And then you gain life equal number of cats.
Okay. So they recently made this because of the secret lair. Mike would like to include more removal based on the games that they've played with it. It seems to be lacking. And they also want to focus on making it a little bit faster.
Yeah.
All right. Also, budget is not a huge concern.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, Ren and Seri is one of the most popular commanders of all time because it turns out people like cats and dogs.
We actually have a Patreon. Everybody who's submits deck lists at this tier level can submit deck lists for the show as a sort of lottery system. And one of our prompts, you actually build and brew, or you can submit your decks if you've already had them. Mm-hmm. One of them is for a dog deck, and this would qualify if you guys wanted to submit those as well.
Okay. Cats and dogs.
Dogs are better.
We are pretty on theme here with 3 exceptions. Roaming Throne, but becomes a cat or a dog, and I would say double triggers on Ren and Seri is very good. Beast Whisper because Naya needs to draw cards.
Yeah.
And O'Hare Talk because triple cats and dogs tokens. What are some... I mean, your selection for dogs is pretty small, and your selection for cats is a little bit bigger, but it's still not incredible. So you are going to see a lot of the same cards here.
Now, I know that it just came out, but I want to see... I want to see Philia.
Yes.
I don't even know if we have the ETBs to justify it, but...
Hey, you know what? There's always some sort of value out of it, right? ETB, yeah, that's enough. You can blink your opponent's stuff too, so...
Yeah. I got to do it in Limited. I got to blink their living weapon equipment, the 6/6.
Nice.
So they had no blockers. It was great.
I like that. Oh yeah, and we have a couple changelings, which
No, does not count. Flavor fail.
But
I'm still fine with using them, but we're not going to count them as cats and dogs.
It's harder too because they're actually even better than cats and dogs because they trigger both.
Yeah.
And
that's why we include them. But
yeah.
We're not going to give them cats and dogs count credit.
Fair enough.
I'm putting my foot down here. The Boros Charm, this is lovely. Good choice. I really want to get the Swift Spear version. It's my favorite Swift Spear, but they're too expensive.
I somehow missed these. I've never seen these.
That is the Valentine's Day one, and it's all Boros, aggro. So it's this and Swift Spear and some other things. That's my favorite, Valentine's Day sleeve I use on Arena is the Boros Charm.
It's very cute. What our sorceries are just all ramp. All right. Points. This is hard to cast. I think as there are much better cards, but come on, the spell is super cool and it's got a bunch of cats on it.
I didn't even notice the cats. So you get points for the cat. I like fun and funky spells. If I have cards like that, I will 100% build with them. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you'll see really weird things on the show for the decks that I've built because I just play rares that fit, right? But the fact that this actually has a cat on it, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
definitely a good include.
Yeah, because you don't get to play the spell often because of the very specific mana cost. And
But if that's the case, don't we have a heroic intervention with an Ajani on it? Fail. So you know that
Is
you
there?
know. Yeah, there is definitely one with an Ajani on it.
I guess I don't play enough of this.
I think.
It's the OG, yeah, the original one. Okay, yeah, you gotta switch that.
So it's a double-edged sword. Like, you proved that you already recognized the flavor, and then you messed it up.
This is cute though.
Which one? I can't.
Crib swap. Because that is a cat and dog spell, so it does trigger Ren and Seri. Yeah, because Commander does not specify that it needs to be a creature spell, so this does give you a cat and a dog token.
Look at the soul ring. Brownie points. Oh my gosh. How did I not know about this soul ring? I need it. I need that dog in my life.
You do.
How much is that? I want to buy it right now.
I mean, I think it's from the Secret Lair, and that's the Secret Lair deck, right? So I don't know. It might be a little tough, but
Yeah, but it's they'll have singles.
let's see.
Keep going. I'm just looking up a price.
Catcher's Monument seems maybe a little out of place to me because it only reduces your white creature spells, which is you have a good amount, but it's not.
They're not very expensive.
They're not very expensive, and it's not all of your creatures. And what bonus do you get for it? You just get 1/1 white warrior creature tokens, which are sure, you get it's a body, it's value, but I don't know what they're doing for you.
Oh, it's too expensive.
That's not
Aww. I am sad now.
Masquerade Nexus, the biggest creature type cheater card ever, but I do like it. So, if everything is suddenly both a cat and a dog. Actually, I'm surprised you didn't get that whole deck when it came out, because you'd have this Anointed Procession too.
Oh, Hammy's angry. Hammy's so angry. I'm so sorry, chat. Yeah, I missed a few things, for sure.
All right. What else have we got here? Aura Shards. Aura Shards is this is a very mean card. It's underrated in its meanness. Because artifact and enchantment strategies don't get to play. But it is very powerful.
Oh, Felidar Retreat does make cats.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Well done.
And then we have Doubler, Pump the Team. Another Sylvan Library. This is Sylvan Library
That's the card
Day.
of the day, yeah. Mm-hmm. What was it last time?
Oh, we did have one that was why is everybody playing this?
Was it like a Jace the something?
Oh, yes, Jace, yeah, Wielder of Mr. whatever the deck yourself one is.
Yeah. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but Animal Sanctuary, that's cool. I've wanted to build stuff like that, and I have not gotten a chance to.
That got buffed. Animal Sanctuary got buffed because all of the Naga creature types got changed to snakes, yesterday.
So this is important to note. This is a cat-dog deck. We are doing an International Dog Day game, and we are allowing our renowned patrons and higher to submit their deck lists for all dog stuff. And this would count. I would be willing to put a dog-cat deck in the pod.
Yeah, no, this totally counts.
So you guys should definitely submit those.
Oh, yeah, you would have had these lands too.
Well, I don't. Stop making me sad. They really have 7 of them? Oh, is there a ham in there? Tell me there's a ham in there. I don't see. Oh, maybe. What's this one? I don't think it's a ham.
I don't think that's a ham.
It's vaguely ham-shaped.
Maybe he's on the mountain? Oh, yep, he's on the mountain.
Oh, it's a ham. Oh. I need them. I need 17,000 of them.
Oh yeah, I don't know how many come in the deck.
I need them.
35 lands. We have it's pretty much just mana. We only have 2 utility lands here, right? Minas Tirith, which seems great, and Animal Sanctuary. What is there? Are there any other utility lands that I'd want here?
I could also see like you'd need like Genie Fae to like swap your tokens into stuff, but you could use like the other token generating lands, the white one. Mm-hmm. Castle something white card.
Yeah. Genie Fae would be interesting though, because you have some other ways to make tokens, and that would turn all of the tokens from this into cats, right?
Genie Fae is cat or dog, right? It's a 3/1 dog or a 2/2 cat or something.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember because that's very not me. But
it was played on episode 1 of Decked Out in Zebex's All Dogs Go to Heaven deck, where she specified that it makes cats or dogs, but she would only make dogs.
Gotcha. Okay, then yeah. Okay.
But you have to have enough other things, other tokens like treasures and stuff like that to justify Genie Fae. Because if all the tokens you're making are already cats and dogs, then it doesn't help.
I agree.
It just maybe lets you upgrade your 1/1 cats into something better, like from the Regal or anything else that maybe makes them.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think it's a 2/2 cat or a 3/1 dog.
Yes. So that does upgrade all of these as well.
But... And Brimaz, I think. So maybe that's just worth it then. I think Genie Fae should probably just be in this deck.
And like super on theme.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're looking to upgrade, make this a little faster
and add removal.
Okay.
Potentially.
Yeah, I mean, but this doesn't even have the swords in it. That's swords of plowshares. What in Naya? What am I looking for in removal? That's pretty solid. I mean, you always have the options of Beast Within and Generous Gift.
I like the idea of like Austere Command as well, because you're making mostly tokens. So there's a really good chance you can get a nice one-sided version of that.
Yeah. They have Dusk to Dawn, but like second version of that is always helpful too.
The sorcery like mana stuff seems good. So for it to be faster, what are we really looking at here? Because it looks like rocks and mana ramp stuff seems appropriate. So are we just not having like the heavy hitters that are taking place on turn 3 and 4?
Well, okay, what's our game plan then for this to really get going? You want Ren and Seri out as fast as possible. And to that, I'd say I don't think there is enough ramp here, because you have 1, 2, 3 spells that are doing it. You have Signet. You can say Soul Ring, but that doesn't even, the 2 colorless doesn't help you to pay for Ren and Seri too much.
Just 1, right?
Yeah.
Which is still fine. That's still the same as a regular one-off rock. You just need the other mana sources.
So even if it's 5, that's only 5 cards that allow you to play Ren and Seri on turn 3. So I would not mind some more 2 mana ramp.
Okay.
Felwar Stone, you're in 3 colors. That's definitely gonna help.
I feel like we should definitely have the other mana rocks, right? Like, where are the signets?
Signets and talismans.
Talismans. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, talismans.
I mean, but hey, both of those. Yeah, I would put a couple more in to make it consistent to be able to play your commander on turn 3, since you really want that extra value from the tokens coming out.
Trying to think if there's also any like cute like 2-drop creatures that make some mana, but they probably wouldn't fit into the dog cat theme, which I'm not really willing to sacrifice. because creatures are fair game when it comes to like rocks and stuff. Like when I'm running elves, I don't run a lot of rocks. I run elves.
Yeah. They're Modern Horizons 3 upgrades for sure. Besides just Philia, you actually have two that synergize really well that are both early plays that I think make this deck better. One is Ocelot Pride, which is super busted.
Is that the 1/1?
It's the yeah. One white for a 1/1 first strike life link. If you've gained life this turn, make a 1/1 cat at your end step, and if you have the city's blessing, then you also do more stuff. I don't remember. I think you like double your tokens or something stupid. Can I do this? Does this work?
It is our account.
Oh, okay.
So you can add it.
Yes. All of the stuff I said, and then if you have the city's blessing, each token that enter the battlefield this turn, you make a copy of it. So like that is incredible. And a cat that makes cats and cares about tokens.
And Genie Fae. We're adding Genie Fae as well.
Yeah. Should I not keep these in though?
Yeah.
Okay. And the other one is Ajani. Wow.
Yeah, I like the idea of putting some of the Ajani planeswalkers make cats, right?
I meant this one.
The new Ajani,
The new Ajani, but I think a bunch of the other ones do as well. But this to me seems fantastic if we're trying to up the speed on turn 2, making 2 bodies and then flipping into something that's pumping half the team.
Yeah. And he just for 0 makes more cats.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great 2-drop for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, you did get some really good upgrades in this new set. All right, so 2 or 3 more rocks and then 1-drop, 2-drop, I think makes it faster. What are we looking at for removal? Because again, the suite seems a little lackluster. Boros Charm and Heroic Intervention are like protection to fairies, protection, flawless maneuver. So you're working on protecting your stuff a lot, but you're not killing anything. What are we thinking here?
Yeah, besides like the swords generous gift and beast within.
Austere command, because we like the so you protect your tokens, kill the big stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's an auto include in a token deck. Isn't there? No, never mind. I think you want that when you have the taller deck, not the wider deck. Yeah. Never mind. No. Maybe. There's a board wipe that says you choose a number and you sacrifice that many. So when you are the wider deck, you just sack your tokens and they get rid of their 3 bombs or whatever. Mm-hmm. Right? That's a thing from like D&D?
It's something like semi-recent. Yeah, I don't remember what it is.
Choose a number between 1 and 13.
So 13, it's probably one of the recent Innistrad sets.
So then you board wipe all of those like numbers, right? Mm-hmm. So a deck like this, you can say 10. Mm-hmm. And you're wiping everyone's board and you're getting rid of like 10 cats.
1/1s,
yeah. And so that could be a good cheaty facey sort of removal board clear.
Yeah.
And in a deck like this, in a lot of board states, like the number 3 would be enough.
Right.
But my question is it destroy everything in excess of that number, or is it keep that number? Because if it's keep the number, then that would be a bad one for this.
I'm pretty sure it is what you want.
Okay.
I think it is sacrifice that many things.
Okay. By invitation only, says Wraith Rider.
Okay.
Hammy, you rarely get to meet YouTube. You want to meet YouTube while Veggie thinks?
Yeah, and Naya removal. He's like, oh, coffee. Hi, Veggie. Do you have a good time outside, Veggie? Look, you're on a mountain.
Except for you have a tail.
No.
I'm sorry, you have no tail.
I don't know why. Yeah, I'm blanking on like Naya staple removal, but oh yeah, stroke of midnight. Right. That's definitely a good one. Maybe some stuff that's a little more efficient too. I like Hull Breach or Wear and Tear. They don't hit creatures, but
all right, Veggie. We've given some removal upgrades, some speed cat upgrades, some mana situation in like speed increase. As is, what would you rate this deck?
Let's see. It is very on theme, which I always like. It's running one card that I have not thought about for a long time. That's big points. It's maybe a little light on ramping, especially to be able to play your commander on turn 3. And it is in color combination and strategy that is less veggie. So I think altogether that brings it to about a 7 for me. I think I really appreciate the commitment to the theme. I think there are some very fun includes, and it seems pretty solid.
Okay. I think I'm a sucker for themey decks, especially ones that include dogs. So as is, I want to give it a 7. I don't want to like penalize for not having 2 of the new cards that I think are just absolute home runs here, because the set's new. You know, they submitted this deck list like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's not out yet.
Yeah, pre-release, right, is the only thing. But I do think that there is a big miss in having, I agree, for the removal and the rocks. And I would like to see like Genie Fae and a little bit more token generation. But overall, I think I'm going to give this a 7. But I think with a couple of tweaks, this would be an easy 9. I love this kind of deck, and I would love to play it. And you can see Zbex play something similar. It wasn't a Ren and Seri deck. It was a Genie Fae, but it was all dogs all day.
Yes.
So if you like that theme, you should definitely check it out. What was your number again?
7.
7 and a 7. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike, for submitting your Ren and Seri deck. Please submit this as well for the International Dog Day tournament.
Yeah.
Giveaway.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right.
Next up, guys, we have Boogey, who has submitted a whatever this guy's name is.
Jon Irenicus. Also, just very quick, for Mike's Ren and Seri, use the new lands from MH3, and that fixes your removal problem. Because you don't have to change anything, you just swap some lands in. One of them is like a fight, one of them is, I think, a bite, one of them is a kill something, and they're all in the colors that you want. There you go.
Okay.
They fix everything. They're so good.
You want to read the card?
Yes, this is tied for the most me card of the decks for today. Jon Irenicus, a 3/3 for 4. At the beginning of your end step, an opponent gains control of up to 1 target creature you control. You put 2 counters on it and tap it, but that creature is goaded for the rest of the game and cannot be sacrificed. Whenever a creature you own but don't control attacks, you draw a card.
All right. So the notes here from Boogey, this is a combination of a couple of different lists all compiled together. The things that they would like help on is like the mana base, as well as some more theme includes for the Bad Santa theme. Mm-hmm. So that's what we are looking for while we take a look.
Okay. Now I will try not to take it in the direction that I made a video about how to make this the absolute worst deck possible, where it is just designed to force a draw every time. Which is it's actually very easy to do with this.
Why would you do that?
You shouldn't. That's why I made it a video and didn't make the real deck. But it's just a funny concept. Don't ever do it. Okay.
Veggie giving people bad ideas.
That's my whole thing. I have to release them out of my brain into a video so that they don't get released into a deck you have to play against.
Fair. I appreciate the consideration.
All right, so we're giving our opponents stupid little creatures that they don't want to have but can't get rid of, and that are good at then hitting the other opponents. Which means we get some deep dive creatures, like this little idiot of reduce hand size by 3, but it is a 2/2 flyer, so it's hard for them for your other opponents to then block it.
Also, you don't even necessarily know that your opponents want to help each other, right? Like, I could see being the person being hit for 2 and being like, no, I still like your hand being reduced by 3.
Right.
Yeah, like, that is cute. It doesn't necessarily incentivize your opponents to work together against you. Mm-hmm. So the question is how are you playing that and you trade control of it at the same time before, like, your cleanup discard step?
Yeah, your end step. So you will not be hit by the hand size problem. Yeah, and it's like you get to find these really fun creatures that are like, this is garbage. This is such a terrible card. However, it's a 5 power for 3 mana, and it's bad if you hit somebody with it. So like your other opponent that's getting swung at is like, well, I could just take this 5 damage and you have to sacrifice a permanent. Like,
but it doesn't say another permanent, right? It's just sacrifice a permanent, so they just get rid of that.
No, because Jon Irenicus specifies that creature cannot be sacrificed.
Oh, brutal. So you are incentivizing your opponents to take 5 to screw other people over. Mm-hmm. That is very funny.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of other mean things. I'm trying to see if there's like ones that are particularly like Rotting Regisaur. That's hilarious. Huge body that's getting forced to swing and is still hurting them. Yeah. This is like cards I haven't thought about for a million years. Deck. Player plays a spell, sack a creature. And it's an 8/8 with fear.
What? Mm-hmm. And they can't sack it.
Cannot sack it.
So what happens when that's the last creature? Which thing overrides?
I mean, just the same as if you were forced to sacrifice a creature, but you have no creatures.
So you just sack nothing.
You sack nothing.
Okay. I feel like that's weird. That is a weird interaction that one does not take precedent over the other.
Well, the one, yeah, the can't be sacrificed takes precedent.
Yeah.
Okay. This is... So there's like a light reanimator theme here? Yeah. Because you have both Buried Alive and Unmarked Grave to tutor to your graveyard, and then reanimate, unearth, victimize to bring stuff back. Right? There's not just...
I wonder if there's also creatures that deal with the graveyard stuff.
Yeah, because the commander does not, but reanimator in general is not the worst thing to have here. I don't see anything that has to do with it. Yeah. All is dust. Why are you here? Sacrifices all permanents in control that are one or more colors. So okay. I see what you're doing. That's very funny.
Fill us in. I don't see it.
So generally, everybody's permanents are going to be hit by this, right? Mm-hmm. You're not going to be left with much of anything. However, since the gifts that you've given with Jon Irenicus cannot be sacrificed, everybody's like hard board wiped except for these creatures that can't swing on you. And now they're just, all blockers are gone.
I didn't know that said sacrifice all permanents. I thought it was destroy. Mm-hmm. So I did not make that connection because, again, my brain reads cards in a specific way and sort of like mitigates. Like, I read that and I think, oh, this is just a board wipe. And then I tend to forget the finer points of how it does it. And then I completely botch it up. So that is a great include. Yeah.
I have like the reverse where I'm like, my brain is only full of the finer points and forgets like, oh, but generally this is what this card is supposed to do.
So I only remember that. Yeah. There was a Saga from the original like Dominaria one where it's like you play it and they sacrifice a creature or planeswalker. It was like a common one. People were playing it like even in standard for a minute.
Yeah.
But in my head, because I only play it in limited, it was just destroy a creature. And so there was a point where my opponent taps out, plays a planeswalker, and I'm like, oh, I guess I can't do anything about it.
And you had that in your hand.
And I just like conceded. And my chat's like, what are you doing? You have the perfect answer. And I'm like, oh. We have some expensive cards. Mana Drain, Fierce Guardianship, Vampiric Tutor. Our instance category is like stacked.
I like that it's also then right next to Wrong Turn. To give away a creature, which like works as a secondary if you don't have Jon Irenicus out, but you are missing out on the can't be sacrificed part, which is pretty important.
Wasn't there a new card in Thunder Junction that swaps control of like a creature, artifact, enchantment?
Yes.
Is that a thing we might be interested in?
One of the modal ones, because it's like 2 blue and then you pay 1 more for swap a creature, swap an artifact, swap an enchantment.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if there are artifacts or enchantments that we actively want our opponents to have, but it could be cute.
Yeah. I mean, it's even still the same rate, 3 mana to swap a creature. But I feel like my first include would be donate. Just the same thing, 3 mana instant, give away one of your things. Oh, where's the other one? It's a black spell for 3 mana that's give one of your things away, but in addition you draw cards equal to like its cost or something.
Okay. So
that one, I don't remember what that's called, but yes, it's 3 mana black sorcery that gives one of your things away and you draw cards. Okay. Artifacts. All mana rocks. Love it. Still, I don't think there's much else you could do here. Yeah. Yeah. Not much else that you can do here.
Animate Dead as well. You were mentioning the... What is the black market connections in here for anything other than it's just a good money card?
Let's see.
Treasure, draw a card, create things. I mean, it's just Value Town, so like no judgment on it if that's what it's in here for. But sometimes I feel like it is kind of cute.
Yeah. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
One of the things that catches me off guard about this sometimes is that they make shapeshifters. So sometimes I'm seeing like a vampire deck or whatever, and that's in there. I'm like, this is like fine, but I'm like, oh, never mind. It just makes that, which is cool.
Yeah. I think the Exchange of Words is incredibly cute. Because you have a bunch of creatures that do bad stuff, but also have very large stats. Mm-hmm. So if you swap your bad text box with one of your opponent's creatures, and you take their good text box and put it on your giant 8/8 or whatever, that's sick.
Yeah. Uh, 40 lands.
40 lands. Okay, let's see. That is a little high, but I guess it depends on how much utility that we have here. Because I think this is just mana. Because things that we would use as not lands. We have an Otawara. But no Takenuma, which, right? I'm not missing? Yeah. I would definitely run Takenuma here if you're doing graveyard stuff. And because it's 40 lands.
Command Beacon, that's a sack, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like that. Strip Mine. Like things that you're probably not using for a land.
Why is Mystic Sanctuary in here? We're never triggering that, right?
We have five islands plus...
And we have a few with like Watery Grave.
6.
But there's not a lot. Does these 2 cycles do...
Nope.
Nope. Why is that in there?
Hope.
I would put in like one of the like Dimir creature lands or something. There's like the 4/4 that mills your opponents, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's very wishful thinking that you're ever going to get that Mystic Sanctuary to work.
It is just a 2-color deck, but you also have a lot of other weird stuff in here.
Yeah, I guess like you could, if you swapped some of these other lands out, like swap the Temple of Deceit out for the new Karlov Manor Surveil lands, because that is also an island and a swamp. There's a couple other lands that are like that. Maybe you could get away with it. I don't think we even really saw, though, any like instant sorceries that were like, oh yeah, this is, if we can Mystic Sanctuary this. Excuse me. Woo. Yeah, I don't think that's, I think that's a very good call that it's just not going to work here.
Yep. I find that like I'm so used to putting specific staples like blue, run this card good, but then without looking at like the finer points of how and when those cards are good. So I that's the thing I catch myself doing, which is the only reason I think I noticed it, is because I'm trying to eliminate a lot of those auto includes that just really shouldn't be there.
Yeah. I'm more on board with this 40 land count though, because you can't count Maze of Ith as a land. If anything, it is negative land.
Yeah.
So that puts us at like
39.
And then Otawara, if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be using this for the channel more often, that puts us at 38.
And Strip Mine is a sack.
Strip Mine is a sack. But like...
And Beacon is a sack. So between those two, you can maybe get rid of like, one more.
Yeah. So you're like 37-ish, and that I think I'm pretty happy with. So, yeah. Yeah, 40 lands.
Also, like, this is a commander that's, like, pretty important for you to be able to cast reliably early and reliably often, because it's going to be sort of like a big threat. People are going to want to kill this, so I feel like having a little extra mana in decks that really require the commander to be in play is helpful. So, all right, rating-wise, what are you thinking, Veggie? 1 to 10?
10.
10.
10. It's, I mean, come on. This is great. This is such a good time. This is, like, totally straight up, no changes a deck that I would play and enjoy. It's weird and funny and is full of cards that everybody's going to have to read because they've never seen it before. It's very stupid blue and weird black. I think they did a very good job in finding like these weird little creatures. I'm trying to think if there's what I would change here.
You mentioned a few cards. The lands seem fine. What about the...
I don't think there's much more you could do with rocks. And you know, you don't have blue and black spells that ramp you. Could do like a Mind Stone in there, I guess. But
I think my only concern is that with fun and funky decks like this, I typically don't want them personally to be super high power. So like I wouldn't be running things like the Mana Drain, the Fierce Guardianship, the Rhystic Study, but that's just personal preference, and it's going to be based on your play groups. Like if your play group is playing those cards, you need to play them to hang. So you just have to include them. But my personal brew would be something slightly different.
I think this is a good deck that like can hang in that space of like, hey, this is high power and can win those games. So like you could reasonably even upscale this a little bit, but yeah, I think you're very right. Like sometimes you just have to play the good cards.
Now, if you want to see a bad Santa deck on the show, Airball has piloted Blim twice with some changes to it the second time. Episode 29 and episode 32. If you guys are interested in checking that out, it might give you some inspiration. Yeah,
we've had 3 because he then also built me
for Christmas.
Zedru.
That was the Christmas one, which was episode... I can find it because I have nifty spreadsheets. Where is Christmas in here? Christmas decks, episode 34. Zedru was green-white, though, right? That's not going to apply to...
Jeskai.
So that's not going to apply to this basically almost at all?
Well, it has blue.
Yeah, but... it'll be much tougher to find, I think, cards there that are not dual color that will fit in here. Maybe. I don't know. I have to look at the list, but I don't know how many of the blue cards were built specifically for the Bad Santa theme. I think Blim you'll get a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
And that is... I like this deck. I think it's fun. I'm going to give it an 8. Mostly just because I don't really want to play a lot of those cards.
Yep.
Like, I want to play all of these cards, and this commander, yes. Mm-hmm. I would like to be more quirky and a little less fierce.
Did I have notes for this?
Notes. You had these 3 notes.
Yes. Okay. That's the big. I knew there was. I looked at it real quick and was like, there's one that's missing. Ebon Blade Reaper. It is a rare from like Legions or something. That is when it attacks, you lose half of your life, and when it hits, that player loses half of their life. It's something like that, but that is a card that I would definitely include here because you never get to play that anywhere else. There we go.
Those are the notes. All right, so we have a 10 and an 8.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much, Boogey, for submitting this deck list. Veggie, you would shuffle this up on the show?
Yeah, just straight up, no changes.
All right, no notes except for that one note.
Yeah, I have notes. But if it was just handed to me, I'd be ready to play it on the show.
All right. Sounds good. For those of you guys who are just joining us, looks like we have pretty good viewership. Thank you guys so much. Between Twitch and YouTube, we're at like 160 subs or something, or views, which is cool. So big welcome. For those of you guys who are just joining us, this is our monthly or maybe twice a month, depending on how many submissions we get, deck tech for our patrons. If you guys would like to support the show, help us stay weekly, and get some cool perks, you guys can sign up for the Decked Out Patreon. And we let you guys submit lists for our deck techs as well as for us to feature on the show as like a lottery system. Basically, we give you guys prompts like decks based on dogs, or what was the other prompt? We had another one. I'm going to go look while I'm thinking about it. My Little Ponies. Yeah, decks with the My Little Pony commanders, because that's a theme I want to feature on the show at some point in the nearish future. So you guys can submit any of your My Little Pony stuff. So if you guys would like to, there's a link in the description of the video for our Patreon. It gives you a bunch of access to special channels and those sorts of things, and gets your decks featured here on today's shows. Next up, we have Wraith Rider, who has submitted one of my favorite draftable archetypes from Capenna, Queza. Hee.
I like Queza.
Read it.
Read it.
Read it.
Draw a card, somebody loses a life, and you gain a life.
Excellent.
That's it.
Here are your notes. It is Group Hug deck that draws cards for the table.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna... Oh, this is the one. Can we bring up the original deck list?
Yeah. I can do that. This was Wraith Rider. There you go.
Okay, because I would like to... Let's go back to grid. But we're going to group by type in tags.
Oh, okay. Sneaky from our deck submitter.
Okay, and then I will sort by mana value. All right. So Group Hug Queza. I'm already on board.
While you're talking, I'm going to steal his mouse.
Sure. Okay. So I see a bunch of like stuff that cares about when we are drawing in card advantage. So words. I'm gonna seize Prof's Memory, Chasm Skulker, Psychosis Crawler, Council of Four, Elena, and Azor. right, cares about... Yes, all care about the cards that you have drawn. And what, Heliod? I think the backside is what it cares about. Yes, reduces your spells for cards that you have drawn. Okay, so we are trying to draw a bunch of cards.
Which makes sense with Queza.
Mm-hmm. Whenever a permanent deals damage, you return... That's silly. Okay, so a little bit of insurance for people swinging out on us there.
And now we're seeing the, like, having our opponents also draw cards. Howling Mine, Secret, Lauren. Also just like saying Flumph. Oh, Fairy Mastermind as well also draws cards for you and someone. What is the benefit for you to have your opponents draw?
We haven't seen any yet.
Okay.
I don't think. Besides the Council of Fort, which cares about other players drawing 2 cards.
Wraith Rider is also noting Heliod reduces your opponent's draws.
Card your opponents have drawn. Yeah, okay. Yes, I read that wrong. Okay, that's very fun. I feel like that is especially the backside of this card. Just not you don't see that in many games at all, and this seems like the perfect spot for it. Okay, so we are, lots of ways to get opponents to draw cards.
Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player draws 7 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Are we trying to mill them out?
Probably.
What the heck?
Yeah. I love all of these cards. I'm surprised to not see, what is it, Font of Agonies? Font of something. It's a 4-mana artifact that is double Howling Mine. It's just everybody draws an additional 2 cards. So that would be, that to me is like a standard group hug card. Okay, interaction. Only 7 interaction in your Esper deck? We'll see. I mean, these are all good. I love a good oblation. Because like this card is not great, but particularly here, excellent. I think I would want to see a little bit more. I mean, you can immediately throw, Swords of Plowshares in here. I also would be worried, typically in Group Hug, if you're feeding your opponents all the cards that they can handle, then you need to be ready to deal with their best cards. So I would want to run more counter spells here, because the choke point is their mana. So like they may have a huge hand of cards and they can play whatever the best cards are in their deck, but they can't play a bunch of those cards all in one turn. So I would want to have multiple counter spells to be able to stop the few things that are like, oh, that is a problem. Like, I've given you that card, but I need it to stop.
It's interesting because that's sort of like the mindset I have when I play like an aggro deck. Like when you have like goblin guides and stuff, the theory is that they can have as many cards as you want because they're going to be dead before it's relevant. So like here, you're giving them more cards and you're grinding them out slowly with Shieldred and other things.
Yeah.
But you still need to sort of create that environment where their card number does not benefit them in some way.
Yeah.
So I think that's a neat thing as well. Counter magic is interesting.
Yeah. I would definitely want more. I would definitely want more counter magic here. And then Imprison in the Moon is I like this card, but I feel like I only end up running this in mono blue decks because I don't have better choices. I feel like with white and black added to this, there are a lot of cards that I'd rather have as removal than this one.
I like we're starting to see what's penalizing them from drawing, and it's like the Orcish Bowmasters, the Shieldred, the Underworld Dreams.
Oh, yeah.
We are definitely starting to see those now in the enchantment category.
Mm-hmm. What are you? Deals damage equal to the number of cards in that player's hand. Yeah, nice.
Whoa. That's interesting. I've never seen that card before.
And then 1 damage for each card in their hand more than 4. So yeah, just big Black Vice. Just as a heads up for all you players out there, Black Vice, even even though it says if opponent has more than 4 cards in hand, they take damage in excess of 4, it is opponent singular. This, when you play the card, you have to choose an opponent, and it only affects that opponent.
That I'm sure that is played poorly every day.
Yes.
That is, I would have read that and then ignored it because of the way that, like, it's an old card, right? So I would have just been like, oh, this has just got to be errated to whatever.
Right. I think there's maybe one updated one, but like not a lot. Oh, this is the original one, so we can't look at the alternates, but it doesn't matter. Yes. So just as a heads up, that is how that card works. It is only one opponent.
I would have read it correctly and then proceeded to ignore it anyway, thinking that that's not the way that worked.
The Smothering Tithe here also, like, yes, generically good card, but the thought of just feeding my opponent's cards so that I get treasures is very fun.
And also, like, any attempt to stop the Smothering Tithe is giving you that game plan of making it so that way you're restricting their ability to use those cards in any way. So that is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, because, like, that's the, again, the same thing is, like, okay, the resource that players are not going to have enough of is mana, because they'll have all the cards, but you will then have mana. You can make people draw cards. You can make people draw cards. Make people draw cards. Oh, make people draw cards. And then, I don't know how you feel about Teferi Temporal Pilgrim. I think he fits the theme very well, but this is one of those cards that always gets cut for me. When I'm building my own decks, even if it leans really well into the theme, it doesn't ever end up being enough of what I want, because I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to get counters so fast. And then I can really only screw over one player with the -12, because it's I like Black Vice, only one opponent. And it's never really worked out for me, but maybe it's been a different experience for this deck. Protection. This person does really not want to be attacked. His comeuppance is just redirect all of that damage to face.
Ink Shield, Settle. I like those.
Yeah. Interesting. But, like, we've got these spells, but we don't have, like, Ghostly Prison or Propaganda.
I mean, those I can see a reason that you could argue that it would be good in this deck, but it's not game changing, right? It's not board state changing. It's just making you the person that they want to kill least. They're developing and going after each other, which sort of lets you pick up the pieces, which maybe, they want to have a slightly more aggressive take on those things, which I think Settle and Ink Shield do. There are some decks where I will want to turtle up and use those, and then there are some where I want to get my opponents dead.
Children's Spellbook. There was a note about this in their notes, I believe.
In their notes? Isn't that on...
In their notes they sent to us.
Here you go.
I think they were saying that this was stuff that kills people with Shieldred.
This person has much notes.
Yes. Okay.
Here it is. Shieldred's Spellbook.
Okay, yeah, so it looks like these are cards that, if a Shieldred is in play, somebody is having a bad time, because you just force them to draw a million cards and lose a bunch of life. Peer into the Abyss, of course, usually just will kill a player regardless, if you have Shieldred out, and this is choose a creature type. And they draw... Oh, but equal to the number that they control. Great, so this is just destroy any... Destroys target elf player was what I was going to say.
Yeah. Or goblins, I guess. Destroy target Jim Davis.
Yes. Yeah, great. I love it, because it's only 3 mana to just ruin any creature player's day. Okay.
Now, is there a world where, like, we just use it on us to get to draw 3 spells? Like, that could also just be a thing? Because this makes, like, dudes, and this makes dudes, and they all share, like, a creature type, right?
Yes.
So I'm not saying it's, like, heavy, but I also don't like it to just be a dead card. So there's a world where you just draw 3, lose 3.
Yeah, there were those two, and also a Council of 4 makes creature tokens, and those are all the same type, so it's got some utility. All right, land and ramp all next to each other. 37 lands. Seems well-rounded. Everything here produces mana.
I like 37 for this deck. There was like a 7-drop enchantment and a bunch of other like wonky sort of pricey things. That seems fitting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know I say it all the time, but I think this needs more, especially since you're feeding cards to all players. I want to have that mana.
I would like more rocks. This doesn't... I think 37 lands I'm good with, but I would like a few more ramp pieces.
That specifically,
Is there a reason why there's an ornithopter instead of a rock? Because I hate my stuff being cleared with the first removal. Like, I will do that in decks where where it benefits me to have creatures, like ones with, like, you know, Rancor in the list, like equipments, whatever. But I don't know that I saw anything like that here.
I don't think I did either. The only advantage I could see for it is that it is very hard to get, for sure, tap out of mana of any color for 2. Really, your only other one that's going to do it is Arcane Signet. But...
Talisman?
But they don't tap for any color.
Oh.
They're always 2 colors.
Is there a reason why we want colors not in our commander?
No. I just mean... it's a 3-color deck.
It's a 3-color deck.
So, those are your only guaranteed, like, I'll get all 3 of my colors for 2 mana.
Okay.
I don't think it's worth it. I think I'd much rather have the talismans, and, like, a Felwar Stone, seems good to me.
The Decanter is a nice touch because of the no maximum hand size. That's a good one that I think gets overlooked a fair amount.
Yeah.
Just because they see 1 mana extra and no...
Right.
Yeah.
But it makes colored mana as opposed to Thought Vessel. I think that's a great choice here. Yeah, I think personally I would load this up with as much ramp as I could reasonably do. So it would be you can run 3 talismans, 3 signets, Felwar Stone for sure. I would immediately put all of that in here. Cuz that's just great for knowing that you're always going to have cards in hand.
Yeah, I'm happy to go a little hog wild with the ramp, knowing that you have the card draw to back it up. My problem is it's like land, mana rock, land, 2-drop, and you just feel like you have 4 dead turns. That's why I'm usually a little hesitant to do that, but that's not going to happen here because you're going to draw 3, 4, 5 cards every turn.
Right.
So okay, you have 1 bad round, but then after that it's going to be all gas, right? And you'll have plenty of mana to use it. I think adding 8 that you just counted in addition to this might be a little overkill, but I would be on board with 4 and 5 on top of this.
Yeah, or 8.
Or 8. What would you rate this deck out of 10, Veggie, for the Veggie scale?
It's Group Hug. I mean, I like Group Hug. Always makes for fun games. It's Group Hug in Esper too, which is pretty unique. Trying to think what I would do here. Like I think with no changes, I would still give this like an 8. Feels like it's right in the power level that I like. It's an interesting take on Group Hug. I think I would just put some more ways to stop the problems that I'm making for myself. So like more counter spells, maybe some more like board wipes. But otherwise, this seems like a great time. And there's a lot of little cards in here that people will not have seen.
This is the kind of deck where you're going to play it, and I'm going to get a bunch of comments being like, "Nerdgirl didn't play her commander ever. She sucks." And it's like, but Veggie gave me 30 cards. I didn't need to play my commander.
Yeah, she sucks, and you're like, I won the game.
But you like to give a lot of cards, and sometimes it does very scary things, and sometimes it just makes for like a very fast-paced game for all players because we all just have juiced hands.
Right, everybody gets to do what they want, yeah.
Which is crazy. It makes for a ton of interaction and like pretty like, you know, roulette-y random power stuff that can happen, which is always really fun. My rating for this deck, I love Queza. You like Group Hug. I could care less about Group Hug. I like grindy, poke your opponents to death strategies, whether that is Group Hug or Witty Roasters. To me, these are like similar.
Yeah.
And in that nerd girl wheelhouse, that makes me very happy.
Yeah. Do you have a...
There was a thought there.
There was a thought there. I was like, I knew I had something for this deck specifically. It would depend on, like, you know, your play group or...
These are your notes.
What you're thinking here. One direction that you could go with this is stacks. Because that would make this real good. Like, just a couple rule of law, making it so your opponents can only play one spell per turn, even though they've got 50 cards in hand, is kind of exactly what this deck wants. Because then you don't have to worry about holding up, a bunch of counter spells for everybody. You're like, I just, as long as the single spell that you're playing here is fine, but you're just stuck with all of these cards in your hand, you can't even play them all. That seems pretty great.
Yeah.
It's just, it is still stacks, so...
Yeah. No stacks for me. Thank you, please. My rating, like I said, I don't care that it's Group Hug. I love that it's a grindy, silly, death by a million pokes type deck. I'm also going to give it an 8.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
I like it.
I'm a fan of this. And that was the notes, right? Was just... What... This is the right one. No, Wraith Rider. There we go. Group Hug. Yeah. I just want to make sure that we answered any of the things that Wraith Rider asked us to do here. Chains of Misery is the name of the deck. That's quite fitting. Thank you so much, Wraith Rider, for submitting this Queza list. That was amazing. I really want to do an episode on the show where we do like common and uncommon commanders. And I think this would be a nice contestant for it. I've been thinking about doing that for a while. So I love seeing things like this that are not always mythic dragon commanders.
For you nerds out there, they just printed the first ever true common commander.
Yeah?
In Modern Horizons 3. It's a red creature, Skoa, is technically the first ever common commander, because the only other two that exist in the game are from Fallen Empires, where they did not actually have rarities, because every card in the set had an equal likelihood of being in your pack.
Oh,
so like they are classified, I think, as not commons, but like the cards did not have a real rarity.
Gotcha. 2 more deck lists. How you feeling, Veggie?
Good.
All right, the next one is submitted by
Ososhawkin.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's how it is supposed to be pronounced, but like, I'm like, it's so shocking.
But you butchering it is better than me butchering it. So we're going to be taking a look at Obeka? Yeah. Read it.
I built this. Not this list specifically, but I built this deck.
I'll be right back.
It's a 2/5 with menace, and then when you hit a player, you take that many upkeeps. It's great. I was trying to build this deck for so long with all of the other things that make extra upkeeps, and it did not work. But this has quickly become one of the most popular commanders of recent years, because it finally does a weird little thing that people were trying to do very well. Let's see what we got. All right. No, sort by mana value, please. Thank you. Dragon Master Outcast, excellent. Bloodsucker, yeah, real good. The lizard blades to put on Obeka to double the upkeeps. I like that. Yeah, you have Joyra because suspend is an upkeep trigger. So if you have extra upkeeps, that's those spells that you're getting a lot faster. Laughing Jasper Flint. Oh, I did not have this in my Obeka list. But Outlaws. So you're guaranteed with this out to at least have itself and Obeka. But I would be curious as to how many, because this is stealing cards from your opponent's deck, from an opponent's deck, but you still have to pay for them. I would I'm like not reading the card. It literally says creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries in addition to other types. So when you're casting your opponent's stuff, you're then making that trigger bigger.
Words.
Thassa, you have a scry trigger on your upkeep, and you're able to make your Obeka unblockable. That's not bad. I think this is one that I ended up cutting.
Especially because it's never going to be a creature. Like...
Yeah, it essentially comes down to, like, oh, you get a bunch of scries, and you can consistently make Obeka unblockable to guarantee you're getting those extra upkeeps. But I didn't find it hard to hit people with Obeka consistently because of the menace. Like, somebody's usually hittable. Plarganasari is a messed up card. This is I love this card. You all should play this in all of your red decks regardless. But being able to trigger this a bunch of times is really good. Yeah. You get so many cards if you can hit with Obeka once. Twilight Prophet is a good way to end the game. This card was not out when I built this. Whenever you attack, create a tapped and attacking token. It's not legend. Okay, so you're making copies of Obeka.
I don't know if you read the notes for this particular one, but it says that the point of what they want to do with this deck is put cards face down and blink them face up. That is next deck. Oh, sorry. I was like, I'm not seeing that yet because I was going to ask where is that. Never mind, that's the next one. Sorry. This one has no notes. This has quickly become one of my favorite decks.
Okay. Suspend, upkeep trigger, cool. And I appreciate, like, this could just be Demonic Tutor, which would be straight up better. But this is the on-theme tutor, so points. And then, yes, more suspend. Rousing Refrain in particular is super messed up with this. Because then you get all of the mana to play the cards that you just got from your other upkeep triggers.
You recently played a more upkeepy thing with Descend into Avernus, and that deck got pretty nasty.
That was this commander.
Okay, I didn't remember which commander it was.
Yeah, right, because it wasn't on the show, it was just for, like, a Patron game.
Yeah.
That is my number one include for this deck, because it's very fun, and then it turns this, like, wild card into an actual win con, because you're dealing so much damage to people. The instance here, my experience with Obeka is everybody is on to you. They know that they need to remove Obeka immediately. So I would up the number of instants that can stop players from killing Obeka. Huh. That's the number one thing from seeing this. Run counter spells, run ways to protect.
Slip out the back.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
Cutesy things.
They will try and kill her immediately because and if they don't, you will win the game. So even just toss in like negate, and other counter spells. But otherwise, I like this. Okay, is this gonna make me happy? Signet, Felwar Stone, Talisman, Thought Vessel, Decanter, Replicating Ring. I think we're pretty good with that. Right, I'm not missing other ones. Okay. And then the rest of this looks like it's ways to get in. This and Greaves, yeah, help you to get in. I think the rings I also ended up cutting out of mine because like they are upkeep triggers, but it's just a counter, which does help later. I think this one may be playable. Or they're all playable. They're all good, but this one I would be more up on than the other two because it helps to protect your Obeka as well as pumping her up. But I found that the other two rings, well, I guess this also protects. Also, I didn't test them out. I just cut them, so I don't know. They're probably better than I give them credit for. What is random portal to... Oh, right, it's an upkeep trigger.
Oh, yeah. Isn't there also another one now that... No, that's an end step. Never mind. I was thinking of the Ixalan one. The Discover, but that's an end step.
Okay, enchantments. This is the real heat for this kind of deck.
Yeah. There's a lot of upkeep.
Yes. All right, so these are helping you to get in for free. And then as for told, I want to know what the experience has been with As for Told. I ended up also cutting this. I really like the card, but I felt like I was still not, even with the extra upkeeps, I was not getting the value that I wanted out of it, which was sad. The courts, however, are the way that you win the game. I did not think that it would be Court of Cunning that was the card that most often wins the game for me in this, but because you can play it, become the Monarch, swing with Obeka, and immediately get at least mill 20 on each player, but if she's buffed, you get more than that. Like, this was pretty bad before, but yeah. The other one is Court of Embereth, because same deal. Play it, become the Monarch, swing, make creatures, and then just blast each opponent equal to creatures that you have. All of the courts are just incredible here because their downside initially was, oh, you have to hang on to being the Monarch to get any benefit, but now your opponent has no opportunity to steal it. I was just talking about this in the other deck in Gimbal, that I ended up cutting this one too because it's 6 mana, and I felt like by the point where I felt I could play this card, I was already winning. So I ended up not playing it. But it is like that is a lot of fun being able to make a bunch of copies of your courts or whatever.
Yeah. I like the Persistent and the Thopter Spy Network. Those cards are fun for me.
Yeah. You get extra Thopters.
Yeah. And like the Virtue also, like sometimes I think that these sorts of decks are a little bit punished because their creatures are not necessarily, like, they're more like enablers. So when you start getting like your little things that like gave you something valuable in the moment, but they aren't actually that big long term, I like being able to rip like big bombs out of other people's graveyards.
Yes.
And a lot of them, because we're going to get a lot of upkeeps.
Yes, we are. All right, and our lands. It's a mana base. It's 35 lands. I felt that running this deck, I was a little starved for mana. I would bump this a little bit maybe, but it feels like you're able to make your mana consistently. She's always great to make Obeka unblockable. I would also include I would include the Black Gate from the Lord of the Rings set, which also allows you to be unblockable on the player with the most life.
Interesting. So some life gain there. And search for an artifact.
Yeah, what do you want out of that?
It could just be that it says at the beginning of your upkeep, it could just be as simple as that they're just justifying it for flavor purposes.
Fair. Literally fair. It's inventor's fair.
But like, maybe we want Phyrexia.
Oh yeah, it does tutor for that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
No Rogue's Passage. Like you were saying, you didn't like Menace is enough, so Cheezus Death Store is good. Maybe they're just not wanting to have any more colorless lands here.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I made space for it. I'm still not sure if it hurt or helped. Because like I said, it still felt like I could pretty reliably get in. And that is it's a lot of mana. So yeah, I'm fine with it not being in this list. Okay.
There's a good amount of rocks too, so I feel like if you wanted to, you could justify it, be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this is another deck where it's like you are generating so much card advantage with stuff like Plargin Nasari and Bonehorde Dragosaur, Black Gift Demon, that as long as you're doing your thing, I'm happy to be drawing lands and rocks.
I like the Dragon Master Outcast. That's a nerd girl card. Yeah. That's the kind of decks I want to be playing all the time. And it makes me not hate the multiple upkeep strategies. Because, like, Veggie will do it, and in each one he'll take 30 actions to, like, resolve one stupid thing, and then I get bored and fall asleep.
Hey, that's your fault. You should have killed the stuff. That's the problem.
I just want to be like, I get 6 upkeeps, 6 dragons, go. Kill you with hasty things. Yeah. That sounds like a good time. Rating-wise, Veggie, what are you thinking?
I mean, I weird strategy. Love it. I built the deck, so it's I like it. I think overall it's pretty well balanced. I was happy with the lands and the ramp. It had some fun stuff in here. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. I think what I'd recommend for it, don't forget that the initiative is an upkeep trigger.
Ooh.
That was consistently the most busted thing in my Obeka deck. Because you just turbo through the Undercity, and then great, here's my best creature in the top 10 that you can't touch for a rotation. And that almost always hits Sphinx of the Second Sun, which then is just like, great, goodbye everybody. The game is over and you should all scoop now, but I would be happy to take another 15 million game actions before you realize it.
Veggie loves taking 15 million game actions. The only difference is that you usually then scoop.
Yes. I'm like, I'm not here to necessarily win. I'm just here to play a lot of Magic stuff. But yes, I highly recommend putting in initiative cards because that is so busted in this.
Interesting. Yeah, a bunch of like little things I wouldn't have even noticed before, as far as like, the upkeep stuff. So your rating was an 8.
An 8. The other include multiple combats.
Oh, and then you said Descend into Avernus.
And Descent into Avernus.
Yeah. My rating, I'm typically not a huge fan of this deck, but it does feel like there are Nerd Girl includes. It's not just the Veggie shenanigans. So I'm going to give it a 7. I think this would be fun. I typically like playing these colors as long as they're not too blue.
Hi. Decked out like number crunchers. I want to know if Nerd Girl has ever played a Grixis deck on the show.
I can show you if you can recognize the commanders very quickly. You can look.
All right, which one is
Here.
yours?
Mine is first category. Scroll down.
Okay, this one. Okay.
That's all of our commanders.
Because I would bet no, that it has never happened.
In fairness, also, like, I don't usually get a lot of choice in the matter.
I usually, like, by my own decision, get less choice than you do.
Yeah.
Because I'm happy to play any of these. But yes, according to this, you have never played a Grixis deck on the show.
You and Airball tend to like those decks more than me, so you would go after them. But I personally like playing those colors in, like, limited and other things. I would play more had I the opportunity. But, like, we all have our roles to play, and you and Veggie, like, or you and Airball. You and Airball, like...
Me and Hammy love to...
love those colors. And you build different commanders. Like, I wouldn't play this. I would play more, like... I don't know. Grindy something.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out what is a NerdGirl Grixis commander.
I will peruse. I'll send you one. But... I want it to be less tricksy and more...
You like just the mean part of Grixis, not the weird part of Grixis.
Yes, probably that. So I'm just going to say it's a 7. Again, because I think this threads the needle pretty well, where it does have a lot of includes that I do think would be really, really fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think abilities like this, where you're just getting, like, the value side of it, I think is pretty cool. I don't want to, like, I'm going to make a treasure, and that treasure is going to make the thing, and the thing, and then the thing, and then the thing, and then I fall asleep. So, 7 and an 8?
Yeah.
So, Ososhawkin, thank you so much for submitting a list for today's stream. Thank you for being a patron. We really appreciate you and your support. Next up, we have our final one, which apparently I forgot to write the name of the deck list. I need to change that. This is submitted by Red, who says that the goal of the deck is to play creatures or cards face down and then flicker them to then become face up for good value.
I love that.
And this is Aminatu, which has been featured on the show. I'll make a note of that real quick while I am... Before we go too far, if you guys want to see this played, we did an all Commander game, or all Planeswalker game, and Airball piloted this in episode 8. Take it away.
Yes. Aminatu, this is another take a bunch of game actions commander, but it's yeah, +1 draw a card, put a hand back on top of your library, -1 blink one of your permanents, and -6 everybody rotates their board to the left or right. But nobody ever does that. I think that's the best part of the card, but everybody else just wants to blink all their stuff.
It's happened to me once in a game where someone swapped.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to stop playing. This was one of my early commanders as well, because it was in the Unit deck. This is the face commander for the Unit deck. I was playing it, and it was like, oh, but these other things, people are scared of this because they're very good. I'm like, I just want to rotate everybody's boards.
That sounds about right. Veggie accidentally playing a powerful card to do the weird thing and then being targeted anyway.
Yeah, like Yuriko. I was like, oh, silly ninja stuff. And everybody's like, this is super broken. It's like, dang it.
We have a Sky Noodle.
Yeah. I wish that you could companion this, but I understand that you cannot. So, looks pretty... Yeah, we're putting things face down and then blinking that. And I like that. I think that's great. Okay. So...
There's a new card with Murder that lets you... I don't know if it's the right colors. I honestly don't remember. I just know it's an ability that lets you disguise cards off the top of your deck. What colors was that?
Like this one. This one is doing it off your opponents. But yeah, there's like
it might be green.
Cloak. Well, oh yeah, that one hide in plain sight is cloak something off the top like 5.
I like cloak though. That would be a good one.
Yes.
That card is. I just want to take a quick peek in artifacts.
Yeah, cryptic coat. There we go.
It's in there. Great. Okay, continue.
Yeah, I built a standard deck that was just using that green spell to try and put an Atraxa face down and then blink it. So like I already approve of this. Yeah, using this because this was standard. Okay.
I like there's a lot of blink things, or blinkable things and blink things, like Soul Herder and Sky Noodle and Displacer Kitten. And I like that even the smaller creatures like Cloud Blazer are just like great things to blink. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Elish Norn for double ETBs off your blinks. Oh, that's cute. You can prototype it and then blink it as a big boy copy. And have everybody get salty when you just blink Agent of Treachery a million times and take all their stuff.
Yeah, I hate that. We played a game not too long ago where someone had all four commanders in play under their control. And I was like, this is significantly less fun for the three of us. But it was a good time. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Spell Snare. That's fascinating. What are you spell snaring? That seems like a meta pick to me. Somebody's worried about smaller spells. Overall, though, not a lot of interaction, because I guess you're using your ETBs as more of your interaction to be able to just like flicker things instant speed. Okay. Soul Ring, Wayfarer's Bauble, Arcane Signet, Liquimetal Torque, Mind Stone, Talisman.
Yep. That looks like it.
Might
Stone,
Stone,
yeah.
kinda. Once you get to a certain point, you're not. That I don't count it.
Well, I mean, you have one with the multiverse and Portal of Phyrexia. We want...
All right, 9. However, my only consideration here: how pip heavy are we? It's not insignificant, because two of those 2-mana rocks are colorless only. But that's not bad. We'll see what the land count is, but that's a pretty good amount of ramp. Is this a Leaves trigger or just Graveyard? That's still blinkable. Scroll of Fate lets you put your stuff face down.
Two cards I like. Teleportation Circle. I build with that all the time. And Blind Obedience. I think Extort is my favorite mechanic.
I like that that's what you like it for. It's like, yeah, Extort on Blind Obedience. Like, oh, and then the whole thing that ruins so many game plans. Blind Obedience is a card, honestly, people should play more. Like, yeah, kind of Stexy, but then when you lose to, like, the red player that has a billion treasures, like, you'll like it a lot more because they can't use those right away.
Yeah, but the thing you can count on, Extort.
Yeah.
Maybe you screw someone over in the process. That's a bonus, but I want to drain everyone out. Cha-cha-cha.
Here's more ways to put stuff face down. Cool. What is the one with the multiverse in here for? Like, you know, it can just be like, oh, here's a cool card that I can play in my deck. But I don't know. Oh, Aminatu's first ability. You can put stuff from your hand onto the top of your library to make it easier to I think it's fine. It's a cool card. I'm missing some other synergy. We have 35 lands. With the amount of rocks, it's Esper. I would still bump it a little bit, but I think this is reasonable. Are we running anything that is... I think here's the nerd girl. Cut the Mystic Sanctuary because I think it's too hopeful.
It is way too hopeful.
Well, they're at least running some duels. You have 3 islands. Aquafire, Beachfront, Pools. Actually, maybe this is reasonable. We're at 6 there.
Under sewers.
It's 7.
That's still too hopeful.
8.
They do have a lot
9.
more than the last one.
That's
we saw.
12 islands. I think you can miss.
No, you count. You started with 3.
Did I?
Yeah, you said 3, and then you went from there.
Yeah, so 15 islands.
No, 12.
Plus the 3 islands, so
you
that's
started.
18 islands.
God damn it.
I think this is on the border of playing it.
I agree, and this deck is made to go long, so like.
Also, an Aminatu can blink your Mystic Sanctuary.
Okay, that's cute. So it's worth like you won't make it work very often, but when you do.
Right, because you have time. Like, hey, if you need to
cool.
play it early, great, and then
you can
once
blink
you
it.
get
Yeah, I like that. You're so in my head I was thinking like that's the kind of card you save forever and it's slow and you don't like it and you have to be able to hit it pretty consistently at a reasonable rate. But you're right, playing it any time and then blinking it means that there's no downside. I like that. Okay, I take it back.
Yeah.
You win. It's correct. Good job, Red.
Okay, so
also, like, does Sky Noodle do permanent, right? Because I know it does, like, enchantments and stuff.
non-land permanent. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is pretty solid overall, but with the specific idea of putting something face down and then blinking it. To me, that means I want something.
Doesn't look like there's enough face down cards. And also I would want to, for flavor purposes, put in some crazy things like I don't see any morph.
Mm-hmm.
So I would want to just, I don't care what it is, just an expensive ass morph that you just play for 3 and then blink it. Just so you could say you blinked your morph thing. So I want more upside down bits. I just don't know what those are off the top of my head.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely something there. Because what are your big hits even to put face down? You have Agent Treachery, Battlesphere. I don't even really count Thought Monitor because you're probably playing that for a good discount anyway. Archon and Metamorph. So that's 4 things.
Cloud Blazer, like we have value blinks as well.
Yeah.
100% we count that, right? And
I guess it depends
Aether
how
Channeler,
hard are you working to put your, because like
Prince.
I'm not necessarily counting. Oh yeah, all of those things great. If you can blink them, you get some value. Sure,
That's how you play Magic.
but at that point, why not just cast the thing and then you blink it and get your value, right?
Yeah.
Why the extra work to put it face down? For me, I'm like, okay, what am I getting a big thing?
I see.
Like a big bump for because I played it face down cheap.
I missed the first part of what you were doing.
Yeah.
I thought we were just talking about there not being enough good things to blink, and I was like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, plenty of things to blink. But I would want more big hits for that face down and then blink to face up.
Yeah, much Hammy Bork. Sorry, guys.
What sub-theme of the stream? MH3. You can also play all of the flip lands because then Aminatu can blink them and they come back on the front side.
But just the creatures.
Just the permanents, yes.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you can't, like, put the spell on a stack.
Right.
Yeah.
But a bunch of them are very relevant creatures. There's the black one exiles a graveyard. The white one destroys an artifact or enchantment. Those, at least. I don't remember what other permanent ones there are, but those two are auto-includes to me for a strategy like this. Because then it also, like, kind of counts. You played it face down and you blink it face up.
It's much smaller. So Aminatu blinks one thing for the thing. Can we put, like, the duels that commit crime? They just deal damage.
Oh, they deal with single damage?
Is it each opponent on those or one opponent?
It's one opponent.
No, okay.
Because it has the target.
That's That's less. We could say each target opponent. I don't know. Wishful thinking. I was trying to think of lands that have an ETB that you would want to blink, and that was the first thing that came to mind. Because I just want more cute things for the sake of cute things. But yeah, maybe that's too far down the rabbit hole.
I guess Portal Phyrexia I would also count as a really good face down and then blink target, because your Cloak and Manifest don't care that it is a creature on the front side.
There's also this, right?
Oh, okay, that's what that's for. Because it's big target. That's right. It's for the thing that it act's trying to do. Thank you. That's why that's there.
Yay! I found one.
I would definitely be greedier with this deck, probably too much so. Like, this is probably enough things for it to be reasonable.
Honestly, the Red has asked for more things to put things upside down and more things to, like, flip and blink them, but I feel like there's a good ratio of them. I wish that there were more upside down things, but I'm not really seeing a ton. Like, I can't think of a ton off the top of my head, and, like, the one major one I thought of was already here, which was the Cloak.
Right.
I would like to scroll through basically the Esper Murders at Karlov Manor, just because I feel like there's a lot of new things there with Disguise, and then also just like Scryfall Morph.
I don't remember the text for this specifically. Ugin's Mastery, I think, is the card.
Oh, isn't it like a artifact, right? Oh, no.
Okay, when you cast a colorless creature spell, you manifest the top card of your library. So maybe that is not particularly useful here.
That's not it. There's another one. There's like a Scepter. It's like a enchantment that lets you... Am I crazy? There is one that allows you to like pay mana to make a thing.
I don't remember what this is.
Which Ugin's Mastery makes you do what now?
Ugin's Mastery allows you to manifest from the top of your library when you cast a colorless creature spell, which also does count morphs and Disguise, but I don't think there's enough in this deck for this to be worth it.
I'm trying to think. I think there's one that does let you make manifests, but I can't for the life of me remember.
Are you thinking this one that's in there?
Manifest a card from your hand. I could have swore it was like top of your library and it cost mana. Also... there's a couple manifest enchantments. I might just be crazy. Whenever a permanent you control is turned face up, you gain 1 life. For 4 mana, manifest the top of your library. It's called Mastery of the Unseen. It's an enchantment. Yeah, I remembered a good thing. I did a lot of drafts during this time period.
Oh man, I can't type.
Yeah. Let's go.
There you go.
Hey, got
Ta-da!
one! Woo!
And that works hand in hand with Aminatu, because you can then just put your big thing from your hand on top and manifest for 4. Ta-da!
And it gives you like a benefit for flipping things up, which is also just a nice little bonus considering you're doing that with everything else too, even if you're not using it. It's a good late game mana sink. Gonna get all the extra lands off the top. Yay!
There we go.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm proud of that one. I don't really come up with the cards very well.
That's ideal. I could not think of any other ones like besides Ugin's, which I don't think works here.
I drafted that card a lot. Like a lot. I love value. Rating wise, Veggie, 1 to 10, what are you thinking?
I think it's pretty well constructed. I was happy. I think it functions well. I like the extra, like, hey, it's Aminatu, it's gonna blink stuff. We know that's how it goes. But I have this additional like place up face down and then blink it to make it, different and interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the deck. It's a deck that takes a whole ton of game actions and doesn't necessarily win the game of it. It overwhelms your opponent, and they at a certain point they're like, well, all right, you got it. I think the only thing holding me back is this is a very, very popular commander. But hey, they're popular for a reason because they're good and they're fun. So I would give this. I think I give this an 8 out of 10. Seems well constructed. Is a deck that I would play and has that extra little sub theme that is pretty unique.
I'm in a similar boat. I'm a little higher, actually. I'm going to give this a 9. I do love me some Esper. I will play Esper all day. Has some of my favorite cards, and I love the Blink, Soul Herder, Teleportation Circle type decks. I haven't built this one specifically, and I certainly haven't built like an upside down deck, but I love those decks with, you know, Baleful Strix and Channeler and just all of the, I mean, the cards I like are actually like Cloud Blazer. The Agent of Treachery I would leave out because that's just kind of mean, but you need to do a mean thing to win sometimes, so I guess it's fine. So yeah, I think this deck is a ton of fun. My suggestion is the Mastery card. I already forgot the name. Cloak is a great include. I think that everything that you're doing here is what I want to be doing in my Magic. So I think this is a 9. I want to extort people. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
I think this is what an interesting, like, different perspective here, because it's like you're like, yeah, this is everything I want to be doing, and I'm like, this tech takes like a million game actions, and but you're probably thinking like, oh no, I would just like do the one blink, get value, great.
Yeah, and then kill someone with stuff.
Right. I'm oh, I would do a million things and be very happy with the turn that I took, not win, and like that's what this deck does, right?
So overall, I think this is a 9 out of 10. I like, again, the sub-theme that Veggie was touching on, like the upside down blink, not just the blink value. I love that the deck can operate in either mode. If you don't find the Cloak and the Mastery, it will still get you there because the creatures are not just big idiots that need to be blinked. Mm-hmm. They are also Baleful Strix and Channeler, but vice versa. If you don't get those, you still have big idiots that you can then blink and get some really cool value. So neither piece or half of the deck needs to be whole to operate. So I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
And that's how I want my decks to be constructed. So 9 out of 10. Anything else, Veggie? Was there notes?
I don't think so.
Red, thank you so very much for submitting a deck list. We had 9 people submit today. I just want to give them a quick shout out here at the end. Thank you all so very, very much for your support on Patreon. We look forward to seeing your decks next time. So that is Twilight, Sovereign, BigDaddyMagic, Cheezus, Knight of BAAWA, Mike, Boogey, Wraith Rider, Ososhawkin, Red. Thank you guys again so much. And for those of you guys who are watching, there's a link down in the description to our Discord where you guys can check these out, chat with people about these deck lists, join our Patreon so you can submit your own deck lists, and also a link to just see all of these. Mm-hmm. All right. Veggie, any closing thoughts?
MH3, flip lands. Add them to all your decks.
That is good. I like that. Big kudos to everybody for bringing decks that are themed, not just a pile of good stuff. That is what I like to see. I was entertained doing these, and I hope you guys were as well. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. Bye!